Chapter 2242. As a near-ancient saint, he had comprehended the law of space. His magical power was earth-shattering and could shake the void. He was an absolute mythical character, and there weren't many things he couldn't do in the entire universe. The Black Ant Taoist also thought so. Apart from a few old monsters, he thought he was invincible in the universe and nothing could kill him. But at this moment he was afraid. He sensed the aura of death. This was the first time in millions and millions of years that he felt he was about to die and fall into an endless abyss. It was as if the Black Ant Taoist had returned to his weak and helpless days. Against the enemy, no matter what method he used, it was useless. Ah, a curse! This is the power of a curse. Damn bitch, she actually cursed us. Why can't this curse be expelled? What kind of dog is this? At this moment, the Locust Monarch also felt the same. He had seen many things and immediately sensed that the power eroding his soul was the strangest and most mysterious power in the universe, the power of a curse. In fact, this curse was more terrifying than any curse he had ever seen. It was close to the power of the true law and represented the essence of darkness, a darkness that could devour the entire world. Even if it was just a little bit, his entire soul would be devoured. Just like a drop of ink in a pool of spring water, the entire pool would turn into black water. The power of this curse was so dark and dense that it couldn't be dissolved. He operated the demonic arts in his body in an attempt to expel this power, but he couldn't expel it at all. Instead, the magical power he poured in was completely devoured and became the enemy's nutrients. Stop immediately. I am the Black Ant Taoist, a tyrannical existence of the near-ancient saints, a saint of the insect race. You dare to curse me? Do you want to die? Do you want your race to be exterminated? Immediately remove the curse on me or else the insect race will fight you to the death. Do you understand? The Black Ant Taoist was terrified to the extreme. For someone who had comprehended the law of space, ordinary methods couldn't kill him. Moreover, as a black ant, he could transform into millions and countless clones. Even if one clone was killed, there were countless clones that could be revived. This was an ability that was close to immortality. Even if he encountered an ancient saint who had comprehended the law of time, he still had hope of leaving alive. True Monarch Locust also had such a life-saving ability. However, this strange and powerful curse power instantly eroded their souls. Like maggots in the bones, it instantly covered their countless clones. Even if they fled to the corners of the universe, they wouldn't be able to escape. What happened? The Mosquito Taoist was also terrified. Although he wasn't ambushed, he was still a little panicked when he saw his companion in such a state. He was scared like a quail. This was a near-ancient saint who had comprehended the law of space, a mythical existence. Now he was scared like an ordinary person. No matter how one looked at it, it was a strange thing. It had no idea what was going on. It's useless. This is the curse power of the cursed black coffin. Without the flames of the golden crow of hell, it's impossible to touch it. You'll all die. Xiaoping remained unmoved when he heard the screams. The power that came from the cursed black coffin was simply terrifying. It was as if it was the end of everything in darkness. If one were to come into contact with even a trace of it, they would definitely die. It was almost impossible to escape from it. He was not worried that the two saints had the means to get rid of the curse. Damn bitch, come out. Come out now. You have the guts to sneak attack us, but you don't have the guts to come out in the open? You dare to do such a thing to the insect race saints? You're dead. No one in the world can save you. No. The curse power is exploding. Stop immediately. Save me, Mosquito Taoist, save us. Ah, damn sneak attacker, we won't let you go. We won't let you go even if we become ghosts. Let us go this time. Don't kill us. We're near-ancient saints with endless lifespans. There are still many things we haven't done and many blessings we haven't enjoyed. I still have to ascend to the invincible saint plane. Spare me. I'm willing to be your slave. I'm willing to be your servant. Spare my life. The Black Ant Taoist and the Locust Taoist kept struggling, screaming, cursing, and even begging for mercy. They hoped that the sneak attacker would spare their lives and remove the curse power. But no matter what they did, it was to no avail. The massive curse power had already seeped into every corner of their souls. The black liquid was like acid, rapidly dissolving every part of their souls. Even though they had countless clones, the souls of every clone were tainted with the curse power. It was like maggots attached to their bones. Whoosh, after a few breaths, the bodies and souls of the Black Ant Taoist and the Locust Monarch, who were originally awe-inspiring, tyrannical, ferocious, and incomparably murderous, had been completely destroyed. All of their clones had been completely destroyed and turned into ashes. And in this void, only their skeletons were left. It seemed like every bone had been corroded by the curse power, as if they had turned into new cursed objects. Seeing this scene, the insect race soldiers were scared half to death. Their hair stood on end, and they did not dare to approach the two black corpses of the black ant Taoist and the locust Taoist. It seemed like if they got a little closer they would be corroded by the curse power. Their lifespan would be plundered and they would become new corpses. You must be joking. These are the famous black ant Taoist and the locust Taoist, and they died just like that. He killed them with one move as if he was crushing a bug. Seeing this, Cecil, who was in the tree world, was dumbfounded. He did not know what to do. He knew how cruel the black ant Taoist and the locust Taoist were. Killing people like flies was not enough to describe their ferocity and viciousness. But even so, they had run amok in the universe for billions of years, and they had even comprehended the law of space. Every move they made had mythical power. However, such a powerful figure had been annihilated by Xia Ping with a single move. Moreover, his soul had been annihilated. Wasn't this a little too exaggerated? No matter how rich his imagination was, he would not have thought of this. Lord Xia is really too strong. Cecil originally only had respect for Xia Ping, but at this moment he felt fear. If Xia Ping wanted to, he could kill him like he killed the locust Taoist and the black ant Taoist. After all, his strength was only on par with the black ant Taoist. Facing the unfathomable Xia Ping, he had no confidence at all. Chapter 2243. Damn it, the despicable tree people actually have reinforcements. This is a trap. Seeing this, the mosquito Taoist was so scared that he peed his pants. Two near ancient sages, True Lord Locust and Black Ant Taoist, who were no weaker than him, had been killed just like that. He reckoned that even if a middle-aged sage were to descend here, he might not be able to do this. Therefore, he immediately felt that the tree people had probably found an earth-shattering reinforcements whose cultivation had surpassed that of the middle-aged sage and might have reached the level of an ancient sage. Otherwise, True Lord Locust and Black Ant Taoist wouldn't have died so easily. Run, I have to run or I'll definitely die. At this moment, the mosquito Taoist no longer had any thoughts of breaking through the tree world. He felt that this was a huge trap for the insect race army, and the goal was to kill the insect race sages. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In an instant, the mosquito Taoist's figure flashed. He used the power of space and his entire body turned into nothingness. He wanted to travel through thousands of spaces and leave this dangerous place. As for the insect race army, he didn't care. After all, they were just cannon fodder. It didn't matter how many died. His life was more important. Oh no, the mosquito Taoist wants to run. Great Elder Cecil shouted. He saw the mosquito Taoist's actions and knew that the mosquito Taoist wanted to escape. If the mosquito Taoist ran, it would bring great danger to them. After all, this was a near ancient sage. If he hated them, the tree people would be in danger at all times. They would be watched by a near ancient sage and they wouldn't feel safe. He might even return to the insect race's base camp and bring powerful reinforcements. No matter what, he wouldn't allow the mosquito Taoist to leave just like that. Don't worry, he can't run away. Xia Ping had been keeping a close eye on Taoist One and knew his every move. He waved his hand and the two inferior saint artifacts, the mysterious moon demon sealing tablet and the scarlet sun demon sealing tablet, flew out in an instant. They shuttled through the void and suppressed the surroundings. Rumble, immediately with the mystic moon demon sealing tombstone, the crimson sun demon sealing tombstone, and the other stone steels as the center, a huge spatial cage was formed within a radius of tens of millions of light years. It permeated the void and sealed countless layers of space. The two low-grade saint artifacts, the dark moon demon sealing tablet and the scarlet sun demon sealing tablet, had been created to seal the abyssal demons. Although they were only low-grade saint artifacts, their ability to seal space was comparable to mid-grade saint artifacts. Therefore, it was not a problem at all for two inferior sacred artifacts to seal the movements of a sage who was near ancient times. Bang bang bang. Just as Xia Ping had expected, when Daoist tried to travel through countless spaces to leave this place. However, he was sealed by the mystic moon demon sealing tombstone and the crimson sun demon sealing tombstone. In the end, he crashed into a space barrier. Immediately, his head was full of bumps and his eyes were filled with stars. Bursts of powerful spatial power and pressure came from the surrounding void, forming a huge spatial cage. No matter how it jumped up and down, it was unable to escape from this space cage. Go to hell, Wen Daoist. Seeing this, Great Elder Cecil knew that he had temporarily trapped Wen Daoist. He was overjoyed. His figure flickered and he traveled through countless layers of space. When he arrived beside Wen Daoist, he slapped the air with his palm. This palm contained endless mysteries. The palm print was densely covered with marks, like the lines of the law, and it hid unfathomably strong power. As the palm slapped down, countless spaces were destroyed and it reached the body directly. Cecil, you want to kill me? You're dreaming. Even if I die, I'll drag you down with me. When Daoist was shocked and angry and he became bold. Supreme Theurgy, boundless blood sea. In an instant he formed a seal with both hands, and the entire world underwent an earth-shattering change. In the depths of the void, an endless amount of blood gushed out from all directions. It was as if the entire world had turned into a filthy sea of blood in an instant. This blood sea seemed to contain the power of darkness, blood, slaughter, erosion and so on. It seemed to have formed a huge and unique blood sea space, which completely enveloped Cecil. Such a space domain was so condensed that it was almost tangible. At the same time, it was also the most tyrannical technique of the sages in ancient times. Using the space domain to envelop the enemy would fall into the folded space, unable to escape or break through the layers of folded space. In such a space domain, the near-ancient sages were almost invincible. After all, ordinary enemies could not penetrate these hundreds of millions of space barriers, and they could only stare helplessly. Whoosh, this blood sea was boundless and it enveloped everything. The endless blood seemed to condense into terrifying demons, which enveloped Cecil's palm in an instant. The power of this blood sea had a great restraining effect on Cecil, who was from the tree tribe. It had strong erosive power, curse power and bloodthirsty power. All of a sudden Cecil was in a huge crisis. However, at this time Xiaoping made a move. When Daoist attacked Cecil with all his strength, a huge flaw appeared behind him and he was completely defenseless. Reincarnation brush, break for me. Xiaoping did not waste any time. He took out his most powerful magic treasure, the reincarnation brush, and mobilized all the magic power in his body to attack Wen Daoist. Swoosh, in an instant, a dark golden light blasted over, almost tearing the world apart. It was like the only ray of light in this dark universe, tearing the dark sky apart. It was the only dawn. It was hard to imagine how terrifying this attack was. The reincarnation brush itself contained the most powerful sharpness of the world, and even space could not stop it. It could easily cut the infinite space like tofu. Now that Xiaoping had advanced to the middle stage of the sages, the magic power in his body was even more terrifying than that of ordinary near-ancient sages. Now that he fully activated it, the power he could exert was more than 10 times stronger than before. This attack was simply earth-shattering, as if a mythical figure had descended into the mortal world. With a boom, this attack immediately shattered the entire Wen Daoist's blood sea world. Hundreds of millions of space barriers were shattered like tofu, easily penetrated and directly reached Wen Daoist's body. Ah! With a shrill scream, Wen Daoist's body was torn apart, and a bloody hole appeared. A large amount of blood flowed out, and indescribable pain surged from the depths of his body. This was a pain that he could never imagine in his life. Just one attack had taken half of his life. I surrender, please spare my life. Immediately, Wen Daoist was so scared that he wet his pants. He no longer had the courage to resist. He could not withstand just one attack, and if there was another one he would definitely die. He immediately knelt in the void, not daring to make any more resistance, indicating that he had surrendered and would not resist any more. Swoosh. Xiaoping took a step forward, holding the reincarnation brush, and directly descended in front of Wen Daoist like a god of the underworld. Chapter 2244. What? Impossible. The one who almost killed me was just an immortal sage. How could such a ridiculous thing happen? What a joke. When Taoist saw Xiaoping, he was greatly shocked. He couldn't believe his eyes. He thought that the one in front of him was at least an ancient sage. He did not expect that the one who attacked him was just an immortal realm human. This was simply ridiculous. How could a sempiternal realm human be able to pummel the sages of near-ancient era like dogs? No one would believe such a thing. However, he sensed the powerful aura surging out of Xiaoping's body. Even though he was just in the immortal realm, the surging magic power was enough to shake the void and break all spatial barriers. Just with his magic power he could tear apart all space. He was so powerful that it made people shudder. Usually, immortal sages could not have such powerful magic power. This was beyond his imagination. Lord Xia is too strong. Cecil couldn't find the words to describe his current emotions. He was already full of admiration for Xiaoping. That attack just now wasn't a cheap trick. He had relied on his own strength to forcefully beat a near-ancient saint into a half-crippled state. Such combat strength was enough to be listed as a mythical figure. It was already at a level that surpassed the ancients and dazzled the contemporaries. If he had not seen it with his own eyes, he would not have been able to imagine such a thing. Do you really want to surrender, or do you want to die? Xia Ping looked down at Wen Daoist expressionlessly. Surrender. I really surrender. I don't want to die. Sensing the endless killing intent in Xia Ping's tone, Wen Daoist nodded repeatedly, indicating that he did not dare to resist and was willing to surrender as long as his life was spared. Very well. Release the defense of your soul and merge it with this talisman. Xia Ping grabbed with his hand and immediately condensed a soul seal. Immediately, the black talisman gave off a strange light. To be honest, Wen Daoist's strength was extraordinary. In terms of combat power, even Sophia, a near-ancient sage of the illusion race, was no match for Wen Daoist. It could be said that Wen Daoist's combat power was among the strongest among the near-ancient sages, and he had endless potential. If he could make Wen Daoist his servant, he would definitely gain a powerful combat power. Whoosh! He did not waste any time. He clapped his hand lightly and immediately sent the soul seal into the depths of Wen Daoist's soul. Then he was about to merge with Wen Daoist's soul. This? Mosquito Daoist's hair stood on end. He could feel the strangeness and horror of this soul seal. Although he didn't know what it was, as long as he let go of his soul's defense, he wouldn't be able to control his own life. To a sage, this was a great humiliation. However, when it saw Xia Ping's emotionless eyes, its heart sank. To be honest, it was a person who was extremely afraid of death. Otherwise, it would not have said such a disgraceful thing like surrender. If one were to compare their lives, a mere dignity was nothing. Thinking of this, it did not dare to make any obstructive movements. It immediately released its soul defenses and allowed the black soul imprint to enter the depths of its soul. Buzz, without Mosquito Daoist's obstruction, the soul seal easily integrated into Mosquito Daoist's soul and immediately formed a contract with Xia Ping's soul. Done. Xia Ping nodded. He sensed that the soul seal had completely fused with Wen Daoist's true spirit, and there was no distinction between them. With just a thought he could kill Wen Daoist. After fusing with the soul seal, Mosquito Daoist immediately knew its situation. Its life and death would be controlled by this human, and it would not be able to escape for the rest of its life. However, because of the subtle influence of the soul seal, it subconsciously spread its influence all the time. It did not feel any disgust towards Xia Ping. Instead, it had a good impression of Xia Ping. It thought that the reason why such a thing happened was because the winner took it all. This was also the most basic law of the jungle in the universe. Master. Mosquito Daoist stood at the side and said to Xia Ping respectfully. What? Great Elder Cecil was dumbfounded. The word, master, completely shattered his worldview. He did not know what had happened just now. It seemed that after Sir Xia spoke to Mosquito Daoist immediately surrendered. It seemed that this fierce Mosquito Daoist was easily subdued. What kind of joke was this? It was easy to kill a near-ancient sage, but how difficult was it to make a near-ancient sage surrender? It was simply impossible. However, he could not believe his eyes when he saw that Mosquito Daoist was completely subdued like a loyal servant. This was too absurd. Due to the magical power of the tree people, he could also sense that Mosquito Daoist's surrender was voluntary and not fake. However, this was even more unbelievable. It was simply unimaginable. What kind of technique was this? For a moment he had a great admiration for Xia Ping. Even though he was a near-ancient sage who had lived for countless years, he could not see through the current Xia Ping at all. Oh, and the Bug Clan army. Destroy them all. Xia Ping turned around and looked at the densely packed Bug Clan army in the distance. He waved his hand. Boom. In an instant, the world tree in the depths of his sea of consciousness descended. An endless power of the world shrouded thousands of light years. It seemed to have formed a world domain as if a world was projected down. A majestic, ancient, and towering tree appeared in front of everyone. It emitted a primordial, noble, and other aura. It was impossible to look at it directly with one's eyes. It was like a god, and it was blasphemous to look at it. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As soon as the world tree appeared, it simply suppressed the universe. One after another, roots came from the depths of the void and blasted from all directions, pouncing toward the Bug Clan army. Strand after strand of world energy pervaded the air, crushing downwards. It was as if countless stars were falling, producing terrifying power. Ah! In an instant, the Bug Clan army, which had a number of trillions, was instantly crushed into a pile of meat paste. It was a bloody mess, turning into a sea of blood that spanned billions of kilometers. These bugs could not even resist for a second and immediately turned into meat paste. Whoosh! A terrifying devouring power was produced on the world tree. Countless roots deeply penetrated into the flesh and blood swamp, madly absorbing the essence of the flesh and blood to strengthen its body. In a few breaths, the bug clan army disappeared. All the flesh and blood essence was completely devoured by the world tree. Not a single drop was left. At the same time, its power was also increasing crazily. A large number of leaves and branches grew, and its torso seemed to have grown by thousands of kilometers. It was even more unfathomable. Chapter 2245. The world tree has become stronger. Xia Ping sensed the powerful aura emanating from the world tree. After devouring billions of insectoid soldiers' flesh and blood, it had provided him with a massive amount of flesh and blood essence energy. Although each insectoid soldier did not have a lot of flesh and blood energy, there were too many of them. When the number reached a certain level, there would be a qualitative change. This also sped up the growth of the world tree, making it more than twice as strong as before. It seems like every leaf contains a powerful spatial power. Xia Ping's eyes lit up. He realized that every leaf on the world tree had also undergone a qualitative change. It was as if they had devoured an endless amount of spatial energy and condensed powerful spatial laws. Vaguely, each leaf on the tree seemed to be an independent space, containing a huge amount of energy within. Legend had it that when the world tree was at its peak, every leaf was a world. From the looks of it now, this rumor might not be false. There was a possibility that it could be realized. In his eyes, the world tree seemed to be a boundless universe. Every leaf was an independent world, while the branches and roots were the spatial passageways that connected these worlds. The roots of the world tree seemed to be connected to countless dimensional worlds and the universe's origin. Xia Ping's soul had completely fused with the world tree's body. He also realized that the world tree's billions of roots were deeply rooted in the depths of the void. Each thick root was connected to a dimensional world. The fire dimension, water dimension, earth dimension, wood dimension, metal dimension, and so on. These elemental energies were like eternal power furnaces, providing endless energy to the world tree. The thick roots even seemed to be connected to the universe's origin. There seemed to be a huge dark vortex deep inside the world tree's trunk that was greedily absorbing the huge amount of origin energy. It could be said that the world tree was absorbing the universe's origin energy at every moment. It was more than 1,000 times stronger than the ancient saints. Every time it inhaled and exhaled, it would form a huge energy vortex. This? With a boom, Xia Ping's body trembled. His sea of consciousness trembled as if he had received endless laws and information from the world tree's trunk. In that instant, he discovered that the entire world had changed, and the endless mysteries of this world appeared before his eyes. This universe seemed endless. It contained countless distorted spaces, layers upon layers, and countless dimensional worlds. All the mysteries of space appeared before his eyes. He felt as if he had truly jumped out of this world at this moment. As a bystander, no, as a god, he had come into contact with the laws and information of this world from a higher dimension. The information of the Scorpion Law was also the origin of this universe. However, this was only a vague feeling. He didn't really understand it. Once he had thoroughly comprehended the law of space, he would step into the realm of the ancient saints. But now that he had this enlightenment, it would also bring great benefits to his future path of cultivation. This was equivalent to a huge breakthrough from 0 to 1. Looks like if I want the world tree to continue growing, I'll have to devour the corpses of some near-ancient saints and plunder a large amount of the law of space from them. Only then can the world tree quickly grow. Xia Ping narrowed his eyes. He now understood some things about the world tree's evolution. It was simply a terrifying demonic tree that strengthened itself by plundering and devouring everything. It could plunder information of the law of space, the law of time, the law of creation, and so on. It kept taking them for itself and smelting them into one. If it could kill enough saints, it would be able to grow endlessly. The resources of the universe would provide it with nutrients for its continuous growth. Of course, he and the world tree were one. If the world tree grew, it would also feed these powers back to him. The two complemented each other. There seems to be a large amount of soul energy in the surroundings. Xia Ping looked around and sensed that a massive amount of soul energy filled the void. They were all left behind after the insectoid soldiers died. He immediately activated the devouring ability in his body. Crash! Immediately, the massive amount of soul energy that filled the starry sky formed a vortex and surged into the depths of his sea of consciousness. It was devoured by his soul and taken for his own. In an instant, he sensed that his soul energy was increasing at a terrifying speed. The range of his divine consciousness was also expanding, expanding, and expanding. Even the waves of his divine consciousness became even more hidden. It almost merged with the void and did not produce much soul waves. At the same time, the magic power in his body also increased rapidly and kept increasing. The annihilation of the insectoid army brought him and the world tree great benefits. At this moment, many treants in the world of trees also saw this scene. They saw Xiaoping summon the world tree with a wave of his hand and annihilate all the insectoid soldiers effortlessly. Oh my God, is this Lord Divine Master's power? So powerful. It's beyond imagination. As expected of our treant race's God. Although he's still in his infancy, his power is enough to shake the void. Yeah, he's basically a god in his infancy. It's really unimaginable. If Lord Divine Master continues to grow and reaches maturity, our treant race will definitely achieve glory again and become one of the top races in the universe. Haha, these insectoids actually want to annihilate our treant race. What a fool's dream. With Lord Divine Master here, we'll definitely be invincible and invincible. Many treant elders and soldiers were extremely excited, especially when they saw the projection of the world tree and felt the irresistible aura of origin. They could not wait to prostrate themselves. This was the true god of their treant race, the true origin of the treant race. It was as if as long as they stayed by the god's side, they would become stronger endlessly and no one could stop them. As expected of our master. He's so powerful. Sooner or later, he'll stand among the top experts in the universe. The mosquito Taoist at the side was filled with admiration. After being taken in as a slave by Xiaoping, she immediately became loyal and devoted. Even when she saw the insectoid army dying, she was still indifferent. To high-level insectoids like them, these insectoid soldiers were just cannon fodder. They could have as many as they wanted. Holy shit, what method did Lord Xia use to make the ferocious mosquito Taoist submit to him? And he's so obedient. Great Elder Cecil at the side had been monitoring the mosquito Taoist's every move. After all, the mosquito Taoist was a saint of the insectoid race and was ferocious. Even though Xiaoping said that he had subdued the mosquito Taoist, he was still extremely vigilant. He was afraid that the mosquito Taoist would go berserk. However, looking at the mosquito Taoist's expression, it did not seem like she had any intention of betraying him. This made him feel even more strange. At the same time, he was extremely impressed by Xiaoping's methods. Chapter 2246. Another day had passed. Xiaoping had finally digested all of the gains he had obtained from the insectoid tribe army. His transcendence energy and divine sense had also improved tremendously, reaching the pinnacle of sempiternal realm intermediate stage. He was just one step away from advancing to sempiternal realm advanced stage. At the same time, his understanding of the law of space had also improved. He could already touch the power of space and sense the omnipresent spatial barriers and dimensional worlds. Master, you've ended your seclusion. Seeing Xiaoping open his eyes, Taoist One immediately came forward respectfully. While Xiaoping was devouring and refining the soul energy of the insectoid army, he stood guard at the side to prevent any enemies from sneaking up on him. Yes, it's over. You've done well. Xiaoping nodded. Thank you for your compliment, Master. Taoist One was overjoyed. He felt that this was the highest reward. Lord Xia. At this moment, Great Elder Cecil's figure flashed, and he quickly flew over. He stopped in front of Xiaoping with a cautious attitude, which was many times more respectful than before. What does your Treant clan plan to do next? Xiaoping looked at Great Elder Cecil and asked. Naturally, we'll follow Lord Xia. Wherever Lord Xia goes, we'll follow. Cecil said without hesitation. Now that the Divine Master was with Xiaoping, they naturally had to follow him. The problem is, your place is the tree world. This is a world. How can you follow me? Xiaoping frowned, feeling that this matter was not easy to handle. After all, having a world following him everywhere was a very conspicuous thing no matter how one looked at it, and it was very inconvenient for him to do anything. Master, this is not a big problem. Before Cecil could say anything, the green ox flew out of the space of the mountain river pearl. Oh, do you have a solution? Xiaoping asked. Of course. The green ox confidently expressed its opinion. We can completely fuse the tree world into the space of the mountain river pearl. This way, Master will be able to bring the entire tree world with you, and the Treant clan can also live in the space of the mountain river pearl. Moreover, if we fuse the tree world with the mountain river pearl, which is a middle-grade sacred artifact, the Mountain River Pearl's power will definitely be raised to the level of a high-grade sacred artifact. It even has the potential to be upgraded to a peerless sacred artifact. It sounded extremely excited. Merge the tree world with the space of the Mountain River Pearl? Can it be done? Xia Ping raised his eyebrows. The Azure Ox immediately said, "That's definitely not a problem. Back then, when the old master, the Mountain River Saint, refined the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers, he had considered this. He wanted to find a holy tree that contained a world in his body and completely fuse it with the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers, causing it to instantly advance to a high-grade saint artifact. Its power would increase countless times. Unfortunately, such a holy tree was too rare and extremely powerful. Even with the old master's strength, it was impossible for him to find such a holy tree. As a result, it was set aside. But it's different now. Master, you've obtained this tree world and you can definitely integrate it into the space of the Pearl of Mountain and River. This is like adding wings to a tiger and you can't miss it. This is simply an eternal opportunity. It clenched its fists, so excited that it could hardly control itself. The problem is this is the territory of the Treant tribe. I wonder if they are willing to merge with us? Xia Ping turned to look at Cecil. He was also very tempted by the Azure Ox's suggestion. This would definitely increase the power of the Pearl of Mountains and River. However, if the Treant tribe did not agree to this, then everything would be in vain. He did not want to force them against their will. After all, these Treant tribe were his loyal subordinates. Sir Xia, this is not a problem at all. Hearing this, Great Elder Cecil immediately said, I didn't expect Sir Xia to have a powerful spatial treasure that can merge with the tree world. This is simply a match made in heaven. In fact, this matter will also bring great benefits to the holy tree. Being able to merge with a middle-grade saint artifact will definitely greatly increase the power of the tree world. This is killing two birds with one stone, so there's no reason to reject it. Of course, this was only one of the reasons. Most importantly, after this matter succeeded, they would be completely tied to Xia Ping, and at the same time they could also increase the power of the tree world. Moreover, it could be said that the Treant tribe was at their weakest now. They also needed to find a powerful backer to tide them over during this dangerous period. After all, Daoist One and the rest of the insectoid army were only a small part of the insectoid army. If the news of the annihilation of the insectoid army spread, it would definitely cause the wrath of the insectoid race. At that time, the Treant tribe would probably have to flee all over the universe. Well, in that case there's no problem. Xia Ping nodded. Whoosh, whoosh. After making the decision, all the Treants returned to the tree world. Xia Ping's figure flashed, and he immediately communicated with the void banyan tree. Heaven and earth are black and yellow, the universe is chaotic, and the universe is one. In the next second, Xia Ping waved his hand, and the Pearl of Mountains and River on his body immediately flew out. It continued to expand, turning into a huge planet. Then, it completely enveloped the entire tree world, wrapping it from the inside out. Rumble, in an instant, the entire space of the Pearl of Mountains and River underwent an earth-shattering change. In the middle of this space, the void banyan tree immediately integrated into it, becoming a holy tree that supported this world. The void banyan tree had completely integrated into the Pearl of Mountains and River, and its thick roots deeply penetrated into every corner of the Pearl of Mountains and River. These roots also communicated with countless dimensional worlds, and even the origin of the universe. A huge amount of origin energy leaked from the depths of the roots, filling the entire space of the Pearl of Mountains and River with a huge amount of origin energy. At this moment, the void banyan tree stood in the center of the space of the Pearl of Mountains and River. Its leaves were lush, and its body exuded condensed origin energy. At the same time, it transmitted a huge amount of information of the world's laws, merging with the laws of the Pearl of Mountains and River, complementing each other. This? Under Xia Ping's perception, he found that the Pearl of Mountains and River had undergone earth-shattering changes. After obtaining the huge amount of energy and tyrannical information of the void banyan tree, its aura was constantly rising, and rising. In the end, its power almost reached the limit. Boom. When this energy reached the limit, the Pearl of Mountains and River seemed to have broken through a certain bottleneck, smashing a certain void door, and received a huge upgrade. Impressively, it had evolved to the level of a high-grade sacred artifact. The power of its body, the various materials of its magic treasures, the various restrictive formations, and even the power of the laws had all increased more than 10 times than before. As a weapon spirit, the body of the green ox had almost condensed into a substance. It was as if it had its own flesh and blood, and its body exuded a tyrannical aura of life. Chapter 2247. He actually advanced. Xiaoping was immediately overjoyed. He could sense that the power of the bead of mountains and rivers was more than 10 times stronger than before. It could be said that the bead of mountains and rivers had obtained endless benefits after fusing with the tree realm. First of all, the area of the mountain-river bead space had been expanded. Not only did it contain the space of the mountain-river bead itself, but it also fused with the space of the tree world itself. In fact, the fusion of the two had even expanded the internal space of the mountain-river bead. His divine sense was immersed in the entire space of the Pearl of Mountain and River, and he was shocked to find that the diameter of the space of the Pearl of Mountain and River had already reached 100,000 light-years, with numerous boundless continents lying across this space. This was simply an unimaginable super-world. It was so vast that ordinary people couldn't even imagine it. The population that this space could accommodate was calculated in the trillions. If an ordinary cultivator didn't have a flying ship, he wouldn't be able to explore the end of the mountain-river pearl space even if he died. The spiritual qi of heaven and earth in the space of the Pearl of Mountain and River has also become much denser. Xiaoping also sensed that the internal space of the bead of mountains and rivers had not only expanded, but the density of the spiritual energy in the world was also more than 1,000 times stronger than before. The biggest reason was the virtual banyan. Its roots pierced deep into the depths of the void, extending to countless dimensional worlds and even communicating with the origin of the universe. It was currently crazily devouring the tremendous energy in the depths of the void. The energy emanating from the void banyan tree filled the entire space of the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers. This also increased the density of the spiritual qi in this spatial world by thousands of times. It was equivalent to a paradise. When ordinary people cultivated in this place, their efficiency would increase countless times. Secondly, the fusion of the bead of mountains and rivers and the void banyan tree had also greatly tempered the quality of the bead of mountains and rivers. Every material had been greatly improved, becoming more tyrannical and hard. This also caused the spatial barrier of the bead of mountains and rivers, as well as the various laws of heaven and earth, to become stronger. In the past, sages could easily shatter the internal space of the bead of mountains and rivers and escape from it. The power of the law of space in the bead of mountains and rivers could not restrain them at all. However, it was different now. After becoming a high-quality saint artifact, the laws of space within the orb of mountains and rivers had become far more powerful and firm. If it used its full power, it could even restrain an ancient saint, preventing them from escaping. The interior of the bead of mountains and rivers was not a place where space could easily be torn apart. It's not as simple as becoming a high-quality saint artifact. It's already reached the peak of high-quality saint artifact. Xiaoping's eyes flashed with a glimmer of light. He could sense that the countless restrictive formations and the laws of heaven and earth inside the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers had been greatly strengthened. In particular, it had obtained a lot of law information from the void banyan tree, which helped it to undergo a huge transformation. It was just one step away from reaching the level of a peerless saint artifact and becoming an extremely powerful artifact in the universe. Only by reaching the level of a peerless sacred artifact could one be considered to have touched upon the pinnacle of the universe. However, even though it was just a single step away, it was like the difference between heaven and earth. Countless high-quality saint artifacts had been stuck at this step, unable to break through. But now, the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers had the potential to break through. It can't be. What kind of power is this? Could it be the power of the law of time? As Xiaoping continued to comprehend the newly born power of the bead of mountains and rivers, he suddenly discovered that the space of the bead of mountains and rivers actually contained many restrictive arrays related to time, as if a large number of laws of time had been engraved into it. This allowed the entire world of the mountain and river pearl to have a concept of time. It was even possible to control the flow of time within the mountain and river pearl. For example, it could stay in the space of the mountain and river pearl for a year, and only one day had passed in the outside world. If it was fully activated, it could even achieve that 1 hour would be equivalent to 1 year in the outside world. But there were huge limitations to this. First of all, there was the regional limitation. The range of the flow of time was only 100,000 square kilometers. Beyond this range, the time of other areas could not be affected. Perhaps when it was promoted to a peerless saint artifact, this range would be expanded, but for the time being it was not possible. Secondly, if he wanted to affect the flow of time, he would need a huge amount of origin energy of the universe. Without enough energy support, even the bead of mountains and rivers could not achieve this. But even so, this was an extremely amazing ability. A saint artifact that could affect the law of time was an extremely rare existence in the entire universe. The benefits I gained this time are too great. Xiaoping was extremely excited. He felt that the power of the bead of mountains and rivers was too much, and it could help him a lot. This operation to subdue the tree clan was really not in vain. If the tree world had not fused with the bead of mountains and rivers, it would not have the current power of the bead of mountains and rivers. Master, I feel unprecedentedly powerful. Even when the old master was still alive, I was not this powerful. If there is a chance in the future, I might even be able to become a peerless saint artifact. The green ox was also very excited at this moment. Because of Xiaoping's help, it had a glimpse of an unprecedented realm. After being promoted to a high-grade saint artifact, it was originally just an illusory artifact spirit. But now, it actually had a physical body, and there were vague signs that it could transform into a real life. This was a supreme dream for all the artifact spirits of magic treasures. It was said that after becoming a peerless saint artifact, if it could go one step further and evolve into a divine artifact, it could transform into a living creature of the universe. It would have flesh and blood, and it would also have its own soul and will. Lord Xia, our tree clan has more or less settled down. At this time, Great Elder Cecil also flew to Xiaoping's side. He said that all the tree clan had been arranged to stay beside the virtual banyan tree. With the virtual banyan tree as the center, cities were built for the tree clan to live in. He immediately felt relieved. Now that the virtual banyan tree had recovered and was slowly recovering, the threat of the insectoids had also been eliminated. Now was the time for the tree clan to rest in peace. Very well, then you can go and rest for the time being. You still have some injuries on your body, right? Xiaoping could see at a glance that Great Elder Cecil was seriously injured. Because he had been seriously injured by the insectoid saints several times in order to protect the tree world, it would not be easy for him to recover. Thank you for your concern, Lord Xia. This is just a small injury and it will only take a while for me to recover. But it is indeed inappropriate to continue to delay, so I will take my leave now. Great Elder Cecil nodded and bid farewell to Xiaoping. His figure flashed and immediately returned to the side of the virtual banyan tree to recuperate. He could also speed up his recovery by staying beside the virtual banyan tree. Master, what should we do next? The green ox wanted to ask Xiaoping about his next plan. Let's go back to the holy land of Taichu first. We've been out for so long, it's time to go back. Xiaoping said. Chapter 2248. A few days later, at the Holy Land of Taichu in the Central Universe, Xiaoping took the stars and quickly returned to the Holy Land of Taichu, where he originally lived in Green Jade City. However, as soon as he returned to Green Jade City, he sensed that the entire city seemed to be filled with a lively atmosphere. Many outer disciples seemed to be extremely excited. Brother Xia, you're finally back. I thought you weren't going to participate in the Grand Tournament of Sacred Lands? At this moment, someone saw Xiaoping and walked towards him. It was Wei Liangxing from the Lingyun sect. Beside him were Yin Shiheng, Kong Cheng, and the rest who had entered the Holy Land of Taichu at the same time. Grand Tournament of Sacred Lands? What's that? Xiaoping asked curiously. Brother Xia, don't you know? Wei Liangxing said in surprise. Tomorrow will be the Grand Tournament of Sacred Lands jointly organized by the Holy Land of Taichu and the Palace of Darkness. It's held once every 10 years and both outer and inner disciples can choose to participate. If anyone can get a good ranking, they will immediately receive a huge reward from the Holy Land. They might even be recognized by a powerful saint and be accepted as a disciple. This is a grand event that happens once every 10 years in the Holy Land of the human race. Grand Tournament of Sacred Lands? How are they going to compete? Is it going to be a one-on-one battle? Xiaoping was not interested in this. If he was still in the Thunder Tribulation state, he might be interested. However, he had already become an immortal sage and was an extraordinary existence. If he were to participate in such a grand tournament, he would be bullying others. That's not the case. Wei Liangxing shook his head and explained, the Grand Tournament of Sacred Lands this time is about challenging the Demon Subduing Pagoda. There are a total of 100 levels in the Demon Subduing Pagoda, where a large number of ferocious demons, primordial remnants, heavenly demons and abyssal demons are imprisoned. They are imprisoned in different spaces according to their strength. It can be said that the higher the level of the space in the Demon Subduing Pagoda, the more powerful the demons imprisoned. It's said that the invincible sage is imprisoned at the highest level of the Demon Subduing Pagoda. Our mission is to challenge the Demon Subduing Pagoda. The higher the level, the more demons and ghosts we kill, the more points we'll obtain. Then we'll determine who will be the champion of the Grand Tournament of Sacred Lands according to our ranking. However, in terms of strength, even a pinnacle Lightning Tribulation Realm powerhouse would be quite impressive if they could make it to the 9th floor of the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. To make it to the 10th floor, one would need to be at least at the Sempiternal Realm. He indicated that the main purpose of the Grand Tournament of St. Lands was to challenge the demon-suppressing pagoda. This was actually beneficial to the Yao Ceiling Pagoda as well. The flesh, blood, essence and souls of all the demons and ghosts that died in the Yao Ceiling Pagoda would be absorbed by the Yao Ceiling Pagoda, becoming a part of its power. Periodically clearing out a batch of demons was also a way to free up space for the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. Moreover, these monsters were extremely ferocious and evil. They could also be regarded as well-known experts in the universe. With their strength, they could also test the strength of the disciples of the human race's holy land to the greatest extent. There was no need to worry about the safety of these disciples. If there was any danger, the Yao Ceiling Pagoda would teleport them out in time. Hence, the Grand Tournament of St. Lands this time around had attracted the attention of countless disciples from the St. Lands. There was no danger to their lives, and if they were to succeed, they could even obtain a huge reward. Which disciple from the St. Lands would not be tempted? I haven't been able to contact you previously. I thought you weren't planning to participate in the Grand Tournament of St. Lands. I didn't expect you to come back the day before the Grand Tournament. What a coincidence. Wei Liangxing laughed. If we can make a name for ourselves in the Grand Tournament of St. Lands, we will definitely be valued by the higher-ups of the human race. From there, we will be able to obtain endless resources and soar to the sky. He expressed that if they were to be ranked in the top 100 in the Grand Tournament of St. Lands, it would be a matter of time before they could advance to the Sempiternal Realm. After all, they were already considered as geniuses who were able to enter the Holy Land of Taichu or the Palace of Darkness. If they were to be ranked in the top 100 among these geniuses, it would be incredible. That's right. The Grand Tournament of St. Lands this time around is the time for us to make a name for ourselves. If we can defeat some of the inner disciples, we can even immediately get rid of our outer disciple status and become inner disciples. Our treatment will be greatly improved. This is a huge opportunity. If we miss this opportunity, we won't get another one. We must make a name for ourselves in this grand tournament. If we are able to gain the recognition of the patriarchs of the human race, we might even be accepted as their disciples. By then we will be rich. It will be like reaching the sky in a single bound. Yin Shiheng, Kong Cheng and the rest clenched their fists tightly. Their eyes were filled with enthusiasm and confidence. To them, fame meant benefits. It meant that they would be valued by the higher-ups of the human race and would be able to obtain endless resources. In the sacred lands of the human race, there was no such thing as hiding one's strength and biding one's time. If one had the strength and talent, one should display it. Otherwise, if one fell behind, one would always fall behind. Moreover, there was no need to worry about others being jealous of one's talent. This was the highest palace of the human race, the place where countless sages resided. They had lived for countless years and had seen all kinds of demon-like talents and geniuses. In reality, the patriarchs of the human race were some of the most demon-like talents. Hearing this, Xiaoping was speechless. He was already an immortal sage and had an eternal lifespan. How could he compete with these juniors and make a name for himself? There was no need for him to do such a thing. It was like a billionaire participating in an entrepreneur competition. Wasn't that a joke? That was the end of their dreams. Now, it was just the beginning of their dreams. Just as he was about to say something, a group of people suddenly came from afar. They were all inner sect disciples from the Holy Land of Taichu. Xiaoping glanced at them and had a strange look on his face. These inner sect disciples had been bullied by him before. They had even been extorted of a large number of points, causing them to suffer heavy losses. Greetings, senior brother. When Yin Shiheng, Kong Cheng and the rest saw these people, they immediately became serious and greeted them respectfully. This was because these people were all inner sect disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu. They had joined the Holy Land of Taichu much earlier than them. All of them had reached the peak of the Thunder Calamity realm and were extremely powerful. In the outside world, they were the mighty existences of the human race. They were second only to the sages and were powerful enough to suppress an entire region. Xiaoping, you finally appeared. I've been waiting for you in Green Jade City for so long. I thought you didn't dare to participate in the Grand Tournament of Sacred Lands and wanted to run away with your tail between your legs. These inner court disciples arrived by Xiaoping's side in unison, and all of them glared fiercely at Xiaoping while gnashing their teeth. Obviously, they hated Xiaoping's actions from before to the extreme, and their resentment was extremely deep and they wished for nothing more than to immediately take revenge. Chapter 2249. Xiaoping, to tell you the truth, don't think that you can defeat us. That's right. In order to deal with your illusions, we have been practicing all kinds of mental sealing techniques, which are enough to resist all kinds of illusions. You won't be as lucky as before. In this grand tournament of Holy Lands, we want to tell you one thing. There are many experts in the Holy Land of Taichu. It's not a place where a junior like you can be arrogant and domineering. A senior brother is a senior brother. A disciple who has just joined the sect can't compare to him. Many of the inner disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu gritted their teeth. They still remembered how they lost to Xiaoping in the previous battle. It was a painful lesson that made them the laughingstock of many disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu. It could be said that Xiaoping's reputation had been built on their heads. They had all become Xiaoping's stepping stones to fame, becoming his background. To be honest, they were considered peerless geniuses among the major clans and even the entire human race. They were proud and arrogant, so how could they bear such humiliation? They were considered extremely tolerant to be able to endure for such a long time before challenging Yi Futian. Of course, this also had something to do with their fear of Xiaoping's illusions. If they could not withstand the illusions, they would only become a laughing stock. However, during this period of time, they had studied many of Xiaoping's illusions and worked hard. In addition, they had prepared many secret treasures that could resist illusions. Therefore, they thought that they no longer needed to worry about this kid's illusions. They could completely beat him to the ground and wash away the endless humiliation caused by the last time. Senior brothers, why are you so angry? What happened last time was just a beautiful misunderstanding. Xiaoping said calmly, the most important thing is that I'm still young and insensible. That's why I offended so many senior brothers. If there's anything wrong, I can apologize to all of you. I hope you can forgive me. If there's really no other way, I can also withdraw from this grand tournament of Holy Lands. He felt that after advancing to the immortal realm, he had become much more open-minded. Ordinary attitudes and words could not stir up any waves in his heart. The way he looked at these disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu had changed a lot. He felt that these people were all little kids and he was an adult. Why should he care about these little kids? What? Hearing these words, not only the inner disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu, but also Wei Liangxing and the others who were more familiar with Xiaoping's character were a little confused. They did not expect Xiaoping to say such a thing. He remembered how arrogant Xiaoping was when he first entered the Holy Land of Taichu. The words arrogant and arrogant were not enough to describe his domineering attitude. At that time, this bastard didn't take anyone seriously at all. He shouted that everyone present was trash, and he was arrogant enough to break into the territory of the inner disciples, bully them and extort points. At that time they were bullied miserably, beaten up to the point that their heads were full of bruises, and all the points they had were swindled clean. They suffered heavy losses and none of them could forget Xiaoping's arrogance at that time. However, what happened now? He actually apologized to them, saying that he was still young and immature, and hoped that everyone would forgive him. He even wanted to withdraw from the grand tournament of St. Lands. Was this something that Xiaoping would say? Although there was a saying that a dog could not change its spots, they also believed that it was easy to change a leopard's spots. It had only been about a year or so. How could this kid change his arrogant character and become humble so easily? That's right, this kid must be afraid. He knew that all of them had cultivated the spirit sealing technique and carried many secret treasures that could resist illusions. This was equivalent to destroying this kid's strongest trump card. Without the illusions, what else could this guy be so arrogant about? He knew that he did not have the strength to defeat the inner disciples, so he began to admit defeat. He was afraid that he would lose face and the illustrious reputation that he had painstakingly built up. Fuck, I knew that this kid was vicious and cunning. Every step he took was carefully calculated, and he would never act rashly. Now it seemed that this was indeed the case. Seeing that the situation was not good, he retreated and showed the enemy that he was weak. This was a very clever strategy. Many of the inner disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu suddenly realized what Xiaoping was thinking. However, how could they allow such a thing to happen? How could they allow this kid to be a coward? They clearly remembered how this brat had forced them to fight, how he had put them on the spot, how he had made them lose face, and how he had made them a laughingstock. Now that this kid was at a disadvantage and they had the upper hand, he wanted to avoid the fight. How could there be such a good thing in this world? It was simply wishful thinking. Xiaoping cut the crap. Even if you don't want to participate in this grand tournament of sacred lands, you have to participate. That's right. Remember how arrogant you were last time? You used illusions to bully people just because you had a stronger mental strength. Now you still want to retreat in the face of our challenge. There's no way you can do that. That's right. You can't escape from this battle. As a disciple of the Holy Land of Taichu, you're actually so afraid of fighting. Are you trying to embarrass the Holy Land of Taichu? Many of the inner disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu scolded and tried to provoke Xia Ping. Senior brothers, I'm not afraid of fighting. It's just that this grand tournament of sacred lands is only about challenging the demon-subduing tower. I don't need to fight with senior brothers. How can I compare who is better? Xia Ping spread out his hands. Why can't we compare? The score of challenging the demon-subduing tower and the ranking will determine who is better. That's right. The score of the demon-subduing tower can explain everything. There's never any falsehood. The number of floors you can enter represents how strong you are. It's the fairest way. Cut the crap. This time we'll compete with you to see who has a higher score. Many of the disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu gritted their teeth. Senior brother, since you've said it like this, I'll be honest. Xia Ping said honestly, it's not that I don't want to compete with you. It's just that I'm so strong that even I'm afraid of myself. Competing with you is bullying you. Why do you have to ask for trouble? He felt that since he had said it like this, they should be able to understand his good intentions and stop pestering him. Shut up, bitch. Ask for trouble? Who are you saying is asking for trouble? Fuck, who said that this kid has changed? He's even more arrogant now. Competing with us is bullying us? Who do you think you are? You're so arrogant. However, hearing these words, the inner disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu were all enraged. They became even more furious. They felt that this bastard had not changed at all. This was no longer as simple as being arrogant. It was already boundlessly arrogant. Chapter 2250. Senior brothers, don't be too aggressive. Honest people also have a temper. Do you really want to compete with me? Xia Ping raised his eyebrows and looked at the inner disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu. Bullshit. The group of inner disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu wanted to spit on this kid's face. This guy was really thick-skinned. If he was an honest person, then there was no honest person in the world. Junior brother Xia, it's not that we're being overbearing, it's that you're going too far. Last time, you slapped so many of our faces, leaving us with no way out of this embarrassing situation. We've become the laughingstock of the masses. If you don't give us a chance to redeem ourselves, it'll be inexcusable. Is there such a logic in the world that only you are allowed to challenge us and not us? An inner disciple sneered. Well, what you said is not unreasonable. After thinking for a while, Xia Ping nodded his head. Since all of you have such a strong request, I can give you a chance. Let's have a competition during the Grand Tournament of Saint Lands. If any of you has a higher score than me, you'll win. If not, I'll lose. I don't think I'm bullying you. He openly stated his request. What? Hearing this, the group of disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu became even angrier. How much did this bastard want to look down on them? If only one of them had a higher score than this kid, then it would be considered as a win. This was clearly saying that he wanted to challenge all of them alone. This was too arrogant. But they still endured it and sneered in their hearts because this was too advantageous for them. Junior brother Xia, if you lose, then do you want to lose something? A disciple of the Holy Land of Taichu asked. What's wrong? Do you want to bet with me on points? That's not very good. I'm actually not a gambler. Sometimes there's no need to bet so much, Xia Ping said carelessly. Many disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu looked at Xia Ping with contempt. Bragging, and saying that he was not a gambler. Last time, it was you who gambled the most and made them lose millions of points. Now you're saying that I'm not a gambler. Don't be so shameless. Haha, you dared to bet last time but not this time. Don't tell me you don't have the confidence to win. It's not impossible for you to surrender now. That's right. As long as you return double the points we lost last time, we can pretend that this never happened. What do you think? The group of people sneered. Well, since you want to lose, then I can fulfill your wish. Since someone is giving me points, I have no reason not to accept it. Xia Ping spread his hands, expressing his helplessness. Alright, junior brother Xia, you have guts. How about this? I'll bet 10,000 points with you. That's right, I'll also bet 10,000 with you. Let's see if you dare to accept. I'm also betting 10,000 points, 30,000 points. I'll fight you to the death. I don't believe you're really that awesome. I'm going all out. I'm going to go bankrupt and bet 100,000 points. The inner disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu made up their minds. This time they had to pay back all the losses they had suffered last time. All of them gambled with all their points. They did not believe that this kid would win this time. Moreover, they were a group of people against one. Could it be that not one of them could win against him? It was impossible for this to happen. For a time, 20 or 30 inner disciples all bet at least 500,000 points with Xia Ping. Wei Liangxing and the others were shocked to see this scene. They did not expect these people to bet so much. No problem, I'll take it all. Anyway, I don't have much now, but I have a lot of points. I don't know how to spend them, Xia Ping said carelessly. So angry. The group of inner disciples gritted their teeth and were almost furious. Because all the points this kid had were lost by them, and now he dared to provoke them here. It was really abominable. Haha, such a big bet. I want to join in. I wonder if it's okay? At this time, dozens of people flew over from the distance and suddenly arrived in front of Xia Ping and the others. They exuded a terrible evil spirit and demonic aura, as if they were demons coming out of the Shiraba. Wei Liangxing and the others were simply like chickens in front of this group of people, like rookies who had just come out. These people were stained with blood and killed people like flies. It was very terrifying. The one who spoke was a young man in black. He was handsome and feminine like a gentleman. Palace of Darkness. Wei Liangxing and the others' pupils shrank. They immediately recognized this group of people as disciples from the Palace of Darkness. In fact, in order to participate in this grand tournament of Saint Lands, the disciples of the Palace of Darkness had actually arrived in the Holy Land of Taichu in advance. They lived in various cities in the Holy Land of Taichu, waiting for the grand tournament of Saint Lands to begin. After all, the demon-subduing pagoda was controlled by the Holy Land of Taichu. You are Che Guangliang from the Palace of Darkness. An inner disciple from the Holy Land of Taichu immediately recognized the person who just spoke. Many of the inner disciples were shocked because this person was a famous supreme talent from the Palace of Darkness. He was strong enough to be ranked in the top 3 of the inner disciples of the Palace of Darkness. Not only Che Guangliang but even Sun Jiexing is here. An inner disciple stared at a tall man behind Che Guangliang. This Sun Jiexing was also ranked in the top 3 of the Palace of Darkness, and was known as the supreme talent most likely to become an immortal saint. Both of them were disciples from sage families in the Central Universe. Che Guangliang, you are a little too arrogant. Are you trying to bully my junior brother in the territory of the Holy Land of Taichu? You are looking down on me, Zhang Ruishuan. At this time another voice sounded. Suddenly the void twisted and a young man in white walked out of the void. Wei Liangxing and the others were shocked. This person was called Zhang Ruishuan, also ranked in the top 3 of the inner disciples. People called him the eldest senior brother of the inner disciples. He was already half a step into the immortal realm. It was said that he temporarily stopped at the peak of the lightning tribulation because he did not have enough accumulation. When the time was right, he would immediately pass the lightning tribulation and become an immortal realm. It was said that Zhang Ruishuan's true strength could even fight with an immortal saint and escape unscathed. Haha, I didn't expect Green Jade City to be so lively. How can I, Huang Yong, not participate in such a lively event? At this time another young man in yellow walked out. He was carrying a giant axe in his hand. He had the back of a bear and the waist of a bear. His whole body was like a mountain, unfathomable. As he walked, the earth seemed to tremble as if he was communicating with the power of the earth. This person was called Huang Yong, also a supreme expert among the inner disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu. His strength was no less than Zhang Ruishuan's. He was a battle maniac and incomparably brave. It was said that he had not yet reached the immortal realm, but he already had a half-immortal body. As long as he was still breathing, he could constantly replenish his blood, and could be said to be an existence that could not be killed. Chapter 2251. Oh my God, I didn't expect our first senior brother Zhang Ruishuan and Huang Yong to be here. They are real peerless geniuses. It is said that they have already been accepted as disciples by the patriarch of the human clan. They have infinite potential. Wei Liangxing was shocked. Who are Che Guangliang and Sun Jiexing from the Palace of Darkness? They don't seem to be afraid of senior brother Zhang and senior brother Huang at all, someone asked. He was not very familiar with the people from the Palace of Darkness. Of course not. They are peerless geniuses no less than senior brother Zhang. Wei Liangxing knew a lot about the Palace of Darkness and the Palace of Taichu. He said in a low voice, first of all, Che Guangliang is a natural son of space. He has a void body and a strong perception of space. It is said that he has formed 3,000 void doppelgangers, each of which has 80% of his strength. His combat strength is unparalleled. Damn, 3,000 void doppelgangers, each with 80% of his strength. Who can beat him? Doesn't that mean that he can fight 3,000 void doppelgangers? That's crazy. The group of people was dumbfounded. Moreover, these were just doppelgangers, which meant that Che Guangliang's life-saving ability was extremely strong. As long as one of his doppelgangers was not killed, he could easily escape. Of course he is. Otherwise, why would he be called a peerless genius and ranked in the top 3 of the Palace of Darkness? Wei Liangxing said matter-of-factly, but Sun Jiexing from the Palace of Darkness is not inferior to him. It is said that he also has a special characteristic. His primordial spirit is starlight body. He is a natural son of stars and has mastered the powerful power of the stars. It is said that when he breathes, he can summon billions of stars, each of which contains terrifying lethality. He is like a walking star. He is already half a step to the sempiternal realm. The reason why he hasn't broken through is that he wants to accumulate more power and make a breakthrough. That way, when he breaks through to the sempiternal realm, he will receive more rewards from the origin of the universe. Hearing this, everyone was shocked and speechless. These were all peerless geniuses. For them, breaking through to the sempiternal realm was not difficult at all. The reason why they hadn't broken through yet was that they wanted to accumulate more power, so that when they opened the origin of the universe, they would be able to obtain more origin and nomological laws as a reward. Only then would they be able to peer into the higher realms of sages and improve even faster. In truth, there were also some monstrous geniuses in the hallowed grounds who were extremely ambitious. They didn't want to stop at the sempiternal realm. They wanted to peer into the higher realms of the sage realm. As such, it was even more important for them to accumulate their strength now. Of course, eldest apprentice brother Zhang Ruishuan isn't any weaker than them. He has the 7 apertures exquisite body and is born with all meridians opened. His comprehension and soul force are more than 100 times that of ordinary people. His battle prowess is extraordinary, and the more he fights, the stronger he gets. His comprehension is unparalleled, and he can learn anything with a single glance. Wei Liangxing sighed with emotion and envy. The group of disciples from the Holy Land of Taichu was a little depressed when they heard this. Compared to such a peerless genius, they were useless. Zhang Ruishuan, Huang Yong, I didn't expect you two to come as well. Che Guangliang raised his eyebrows and said lightly, don't be nervous. I'm just here to see a young peerless genius. He's not from the Central Universe. He just joined the Holy Land of Taichu, but he already beat you, the inner disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu. I don't know if this junior apprentice brother's strength is extraordinary, or if the Holy Land of Taichu hasn't been strict in the selection of talents these years, and some useless people have come in through the back door. He just wanted to see this legendary genius out of curiosity because he had heard of Xia Ping's reputation. Of course, more importantly, this person was the disciple of Dark North Saint, who had just advanced to the invincible sage realm. Such an identity was enough to make everyone attach great importance to him. No one could ignore a disciple at the level of a human ancestral patriarch. Therefore he wanted to see if this kid had 3 heads and 6 arms. The other disciples of the Palace of Darkness also had the same idea. Hearing these words, the group of inner disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu glared at Che Guangliang angrily. Such words were clearly humiliating them. Che Guangliang, it's not up to you to tell us whether the disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu are fake or not. If you're not convinced, come and fight me. Huang Yong clenched his fists. Forget it, you have half an immortal body, only a fool would want to fight you. Even if we fight for a year, we still wouldn't be able to determine the victor. Just forget it. Che Guangliang waved his hand. This time, I only came to see junior brother Xia. Huang Yong's combat strength was not among the best, but the problem was that he had a lot of HP and could heal. It was impossible to decide the winner in a short time if he fought with this kid. Instead, he would tire himself out. He didn't want to fight with such a brute. It was completely meaningless. Why did you come to see me? Although I'm handsome, rich, gentle, kind, brave, and have many good qualities, I don't like men. Just give up. Xia Ping said contemptuously. Hearing this, the corner of Che Guangliang's mouth twitched. There's another good quality that you missed. You're also very thick-skinned. But I'm not here to argue with you. I heard that your illusions are unparalleled in the world. When you were only at the peak of the Dharma realm, you could defeat a bunch of inner disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu. Now that you've advanced to the Thunder Retribution state, I'm afraid you're even stronger. He looked at Xiaoping with fiery eyes. In order to fight with more strong masters, accumulate experience and improve his martial arts foundation, he often challenged famous masters. However, he had never seen a top illusionist like Xiaoping, who was also an extremely rare existence. That was how terrifying an illusionist was. As long as he could block it, he would be fine. If he couldn't, he would die. Huang Yong was also very afraid of Xiaoping's ability, because meat shields like him hated illusionists the most. One look from Xiaoping and he would pass out. No matter how strong his body was, it was useless. It could be said that Xiaoping's ability was the nemesis of meat shields like him. It's just this also. It's not that I'm very strong. Even in the entire Holy Land of Taichu and Palace of Darkness, I can't find a match for me. Xiaoping sighed. Hearing this, Huang Yong, Che Guangliang, and even Zhang Ruishuan and Sun Jieshan could not help but twitch their mouths. They already knew that this kid was extremely arrogant, but they did not expect him to be so arrogant and domineering in front of peerless geniuses like them. That's not bad. Che Guangliang narrowed his eyes. Let me participate in the grand tournament of sacred lands this time. Let's see whose ranking is the highest. Let's bet on who's stronger. If my ranking is lower than yours, I'll consider it my loss. I can bet 1 million points with you. What? As soon as he said this, the surrounding people were shocked. Even if Che Guangliang was a peerless genius who had completed countless tasks and obtained a large number of points, 1 million points was probably all he had. Now he actually wanted to bet with Xiaoping. What kind of courage was this? This also proved that Che Guangliang was confident that he would definitely win, which was why he dared to bet with Xiaoping. Chapter 2252. All right. Hearing this, Xiaoping touched his chin and said, Since you want to give me points, I have no reason not to agree. He felt very helpless. He had already tried to dissuade him, but the other party still came forward to give him points. He even wanted to gamble with all his fortune. There was no reason for him to reject someone who wanted to give him money. Interesting. Even Che Guangliang wants to gamble. Let me take part in this gamble. I don't have many points, but I can still afford 1 million points. Sun Jieshan from the Palace of Darkness also wanted to take the opportunity to earn some points. After all, 1 million points could be exchanged for a large number of rare treasures in the Palace of Darkness, which was more than enough for him to advance to the sempiternal realm. Even after advancing to the sempiternal realm, he would still need a large number of points to exchange for various treasures to improve his cultivation. These points would be of great use at any time. They were almost the same as universe coins. No problem at all. I'll bet whatever comes my way. I don't have a lot of things on me, but I have a lot of points. I have no idea how to spend these points, Xiaoping said carelessly. The mouths of the disciples from the Holy Land of Taichu and the Palace of Darkness twitched. They all wanted to punch him. They had never seen such an arrogant bastard. So what if he had money? He even said that he didn't know how to spend his points. Why didn't he give them to them? Since junior brother Xia is so confident, I'll bet with you too. As the eldest senior brother of the inner sect of the Holy Land of Taichu, I'm not a weakling. Zhang Ruishuan was also a little angry at Xiaoping's arrogant behavior. He wanted to teach this new disciple a lesson and earn some points at the same time. Why not? I, Huang Yong, will also bet 1 million points with you. I don't believe that you're so powerful that you can do whatever you want in this grand tournament of Saint Lands. Huang Yong clenched his fists and his eyes were burning with fighting spirit. He had never been afraid of anyone in a fight. The other disciples of the Palace of Darkness also clamored and expressed their willingness to join in the gamble to make a fortune. Xiaoping naturally would not refuse such an offer of money. He agreed and signed the contract of the Holy Land with these people. This way, no one could violate the contract or else they would be expelled from the Holy Land of the human race. After careful calculation, the gambling points this time had already reached 5 million. This was a shocking amount of wealth. Even if an undying saint painstakingly accumulated it for millions of years, it wouldn't be more than this. Once he won this bet, Xiaoping would definitely become rich and he would be able to exchange it for countless treasures. After plundering the illusory race's treasury, he had a frightening amount of treasures on him. He didn't mind having a little more, but who would complain about having too many treasures? Interesting. Junior brother Xia, you are indeed brave. Let's meet again tomorrow and see who is the champion of the grand tournament of Saint Lands. Huang Yong clenched his fists tightly as his battle intent surged. After he finished speaking, he turned around and left. Zhang Ruishuan and the others also took a deep look at Xiaoping before leaving. They had already achieved their goal in coming here, so there was no need for them to stay in this place. Xiaoping also smiled slightly. He was very interested. He estimated that after this matter was over, he would not only get millions of points, but also a large number of hatred crystals. The hatred crystal on him was not far from 1,000. If this matter was over, he would definitely be able to break through 1,000 hatred crystals. At that time he would have a system gift pack. He didn't know what kind of treasure the gift bag would give him. The news that Xiaoping had signed a bet with many inner disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu and the Palace of Darkness, and that he had accumulated 6.5 million points had spread throughout the Holy Land of Taichu, and all the disciples knew about it. Even many sages of the Holy Land of Taichu had heard about this matter. After all, each of these genius disciples had infinite potential, and many of them had the chance to advance to the sage realm. Such a bet would naturally attract the attention of countless people. Damn, how long has Xiaoping been in peace? It hasn't even been a day since he came back to the Holy Land of Taichu, and he has already made such big news. It's really scary. Isn't it? Although this kid's aptitude is indeed terrifying, and he is a rare master of illusion in the universe, and his soul power is extremely powerful, Zhang Ruishuan, Huang Yong, and the others are all peerless geniuses, and they are only born once in a billion years. Which one of them would lose to him? Not to mention that their cultivation has reached the peak of the Thunder Tribulation, and they have been cultivating for many times longer than Xiaoping. Their achievements and experiences are not comparable to Xiaoping's. How dare he accept this bet? He's really crazy. I guess Xiaoping has tasted the sweetness of the previous bet, and he has won 1,000,000 points, which made him think that the strength of the disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu is just SOSO. That's why he dared to agree to such a bet. In his eyes, this bet might be a big win. Are you kidding me? Huang Yong and the others are far more powerful than ordinary inner disciples. They can advance to the immortal realm at any time, and now they are only suppressing their breakthrough speed in order to advance further. It can be said that even if they are not immortal sages now, they are not far from it. They are not on the same level as other inner disciples. This Xiaoping is still too arrogant. Ever since he was a child, everything has been smooth sailing for him. He has never been defeated, and he has developed an invincible momentum. It's a pity that the universe is very big and there are countless capable people. I'm afraid he will lose this time. If he loses, he'll lose 6.5 million points. Can he afford to lose that? Indeed, even with the previous millions of points, it is far from enough. He has signed a contract. Even if he can't afford to lose, he has to pay the debt. Even if he can't afford it now, he can slowly repay the debt in the future. Haha, if he really loses, I'm afraid this kid will work for tens of thousands of years to repay the debt. It is said that he also has a lot of treasures, sacred medicines, and even sacred instruments. If he sells them, he can also get a lot of points. But this time, I guess he will really go bankrupt. I'm really looking forward to it. I wonder who will be the champion of the Palace of Darkness and the Holy Land of Taichu this time. Many disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu were talking about it. They were all not optimistic about Xiaoping. After all, Huang Yong and the others had been famous for at least 1,000 years. They had made outstanding achievements, which were enough to amaze countless talents so far. Xiaoping, on the other hand, was just a little guy who had entered the Holy Land of Taichu for a year. They also thought that Xiaoping was indeed a great peerless genius, but he was still too young and did not have enough experience. Maybe he would be comparable to Huang Yong and the others in a few hundred years, but now he was not qualified. It could be said that the two sides were not geniuses of the same era, so such a comparison was very unfair. But even so, a bet was a bet and a bet was a bet. Since it was signed, there was no reason to go back on it. This kind of thing did not matter one's age. Chapter 2253. The next day, the Grand Tournament of Holy Lands began. The disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu and the Palace of Darkness gathered in the central square of the Holy Land of Taichu. The square was boundless and the ground was extremely hard. It was covered with powerful restrictive formations. Even a sage would need to expend a lot of effort to destroy the ground here. In the center of the square stood a giant tower that stood between the sky and the earth. It exuded unparalleled divine power and was filled with endless law information. This giant tower was the demon-subduing pagoda. All the disciples of the Holy Land arrived near the demon-subduing pagoda. No matter what their cultivation level was, they all felt as if they had seen the end of the Tao and a supreme existence. This giant tower was surrounded by almost complete laws of the universe, as if it was a universe itself. Even if a wisp of its aura leaked out, it would be enough to kill everyone present. Oh my god, this is a divine artifact. This is the dream of all magic treasures. Green Ox and Corinne, who were on Xiaoping's body, were also roaring excitedly as if they had seen their ultimate idol. The demon-subduing pagoda in front of them was an existence that surpassed the imagination of all magic treasure spirits. It was like ordinary people seeing an invincible sage. This was an existence that stood at the peak of the universe, a true overlord of the universe, invincible and the end of all cultivators. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't excited and agitated. This is a divine artifact. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes and looked up at the demon-subduing pagoda in the distance. Although he had vaguely seen it when he was in the illusion realm, he could not see it as clearly as now. He could clearly sense that this demon-subduing pagoda contained complete laws of the universe. It was surrounded by chaotic airflows and could communicate with the origin of the universe at all times. It seemed that no matter what power was used, it could not break the defense of the demon-subduing pagoda. Fighting against the demon-subduing pagoda was like fighting against a universe. He deeply felt the power of a divine artifact. No wonder it was the treasure of the human clan. If he had any magic treasures that could compare to the demon-subduing pagoda, it would probably be the Hell Spear and the Reincarnation Pen. Unfortunately, their power was sealed and could not compete with the power of the demon-subduing pagoda. Whoosh, whoosh. At that moment, wormholes opened up in the depths of the void. Following that, majestic figures walked out. These people were human sages. They were densely packed and there were at least 1,000 of them. Among them were a few sage-like old men who exuded an overwhelming aura. It was as if they were worlds themselves, constantly resisting the laws of the universe. These old men were the human ancestor-level overlords of the universe. Xiaoping looked around and found a familiar figure standing next to these human race patriarchs. It was obviously his master, Dark North Saint. He had also appeared in this place. The grand tournament of Saint Lands had attracted the attention of many saints. Many disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu and the Palace of Darkness were extremely excited. They didn't expect so many sages to appear in this competition. This was simply the best opportunity for them to make a name for themselves. If he could gain the recognition of an ancestor, it would be a shocking fortuitous encounter. The main content of this grand tournament of Saint Lands is to challenge the demon-subduing pagoda. You're not allowed to use any magical treasures, single-use talismans, or other auxiliary methods. You're only allowed to use your own magical powers. At this moment, a sage elder spoke. If anyone is seriously injured or chooses to surrender, you will be immediately teleported out of the demon-subduing pagoda. Every time you kill a demon, you will be awarded a corresponding amount of points according to its strength. You will also be awarded points for passing through a level of the demon-subduing pagoda. The entire demon-subduing pagoda is covered by the Universe Virtual Network. It is constantly monitored, so you don't have to worry about the points being calculated incorrectly. Alright, let's cut the crap. Go in and fight hard. The higher your points, the more rewards you will receive. As soon as he finished speaking, he waved his hand. With a loud bang, the demon-subduing pagoda shook and a ball of light descended from the void, covering the entire square and every disciple of the Saint Lands. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In the next second, all the disciples of the Saint Lands, including Xiaoping, were instantly teleported into the world of the first level of the demon-subduing pagoda. Everyone in the square disappeared without a sound. Only the sage elders were left in the square. Who do you think will get first place in this grand tournament of Saint Lands? I think Zhang Ruishuan has a high chance of winning. He has the 7 orifices, exquisite body, extraordinary comprehension and combat power. He even fought a sage in the early stage of the immortal realm before and escaped easily. Apart from the fact that he doesn't have an immortal body, his combat power is no less than a sage in the early stage of the immortal realm. He is extremely powerful. No. In terms of combat power, Che Guangliang from the Palace of Darkness is stronger. He comes from the Palace of Darkness and has 3,000 space doppelgangers. Each doppelganger has 80% of the original strength. Who can stop him? He is the true son of space. He has a certain chance of becoming an ancient sage or even an immemorial sage. Che Guangliang is indeed extraordinary. However, in terms of actual combat power, Huang Yong is still stronger. He has half an immortal body. As long as he is still breathing, he can continuously recover from his injuries. This time, there will be many demons and ghosts in the demon-subduing pagoda. In terms of survival power, Huang Yong has a higher chance of passing through all 10 levels of the demon-subduing pagoda. Indeed. In terms of survival power, Huang Yong is indeed extraordinary. Many sages were talking about it. No, you have said so much, but there is still one person missing. That person is Xia Ping, the last disciple of Brother Dark North. This person is quite powerful. His soul power is beyond imagination. He is a natural-born master of illusion. At this time, an elder of the sage said, when he first joined the holy land of Taichu, he was only at the peak of the Dharma plane, but he could easily suppress a group of inner disciples of the holy land of Taichu. Now, after a year of secluded cultivation, he has probably advanced to the Thunder Tribulation realm. His strength has improved by leaps and bounds. I think he has a certain chance of winning. After all, the power of an illusion master is not to be underestimated. He mentioned Xiaoping's name. Is there such a thing? Brother Dark North, what do you think? Many sages looked at Saint Dark North. They all had great respect for this new invincible sage. Moreover, Xiaoping was his last disciple, which made him even more valued by all the sages. In the universe, the relationship between a master and a disciple was sometimes deeper than the relationship between parents. After all, in the long years, parents would decay and die because of the passage of time. However, the master of a sage would live forever and accompany him often. Naturally, the relationship between the master and the disciple would be special. Xiaoyao Ancestral Master Kong Kong, and other human ancestral masters all looked at Saint Dark North. They were also very interested in this disciple of Saint Dark North. They had more or less heard of Xiaoping's name. Let's wait and see. Although my disciple has some skills, he is still too young. Let's see how many levels he can pass. It would be good if he can reach the 8th level. Saint Dark North smiled slightly. Chapter 2254. The first floor of the demon-subduing pagoda. Whoosh, whoosh. All the disciples of the holy land of Taichu and the palace of darkness had entered. The first floor of the demon-subduing pagoda was extremely vast, with a diameter of more than billions of light-years. Therefore, even if all the disciples of the holy land entered, it was almost impossible to meet each other due to the large area. Each disciple even had their own passageway. As long as they could kill the demons in this passageway, they could go all the way to the highest floor of the demon-subduing pagoda. With a whoosh, Xiaoping's figure flashed. He entered the first floor of the demon-subduing pagoda and immediately found that although this was only one of the passageways, it was actually extremely vast, like the surface area of an ordinary planet. Many powerful demons were imprisoned in this place. In fact, each passageway was equivalent to a small world in a cage. Rumble, the moment Xiaoping appeared in this space, it was like a stone stirring the surface of a lake, setting off huge waves and attracting the attention of all the demons in this cage world. This aura, it's a human has entered this place. Damn, this human must be here to train. Bastard, damn human, how dare they imprison us and make us their training targets. Kill him, kill this human immediately. He still wants to hone his cultivation? It's just wishful thinking. Today this human genius will die and make the human race regret letting him in. Kill him. Kill him immediately. Cut him into 8 pieces. Kiki, I haven't tasted human flesh for a long time. This time I must eat him, even his bones. From the depths of the dark space came rolling sound waves, containing the roars of countless demons from the abyss. They had been imprisoned in the demon-subduing pagoda for too long, without any freedom, no way out, and not even food. There was only nothingness. Therefore, they hated the humans who imprisoned them in the demon-subduing pagoda to the bone. Once someone broke into the demon-subduing pagoda, they would immediately become the target of their anger. Moreover, they also knew that they could not get out, so they were not afraid of death. As long as they could drag a human down with them, it would be a great gain. One could imagine how dangerous this trial would be. All the demons and ghosts were not afraid of death. If there was even the slightest bit of carelessness, they would probably be killed by them. In the face of these demons' roars, Xiaoping's expression was very calm. This was because the demons imprisoned on the first level of the pagoda were of average strength and were no match for him at all. At most, they were only at the peak of the Dharma stage. Ordinary disciples of the holy land of Taichu could easily break through, let alone him. Xiaoping calmly glanced at the incoming abyssal demons. With just a glance, with his body as the center, a huge illusion domain formed within a radius of 10 million kilometers. Waves of tyrannical spiritual energy spread out in all directions, covering every nook and cranny, almost solidifying. Boom, no matter how strong the demons and ghosts were, as long as they came into contact with this powerful psychic wave, they would all faint, and some even had their souls shattered. They couldn't withstand such terrifying spiritual pressure at all. With a few thuds, Xiaoping walked along the way. Everywhere he went, all the abyssal demons fell like logs. They couldn't even get within a kilometer of his body. Some of the weaker demons were directly shocked to death, their entire bodies shattered and their souls destroyed. In just a few breaths, he easily passed through the first level of the Pagoda of Trials and reached the end of the passage. There was a huge door of light at the end, which was the door to the second level of the Pagoda of Trials. Xiaoping did not hesitate and immediately stepped into the second level of the Pagoda of Trials. In fact, not only the second level of the Pagoda of Trials, but he also easily passed through the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth levels of the Pagoda of Trials without breaking a sweat. Every level of the Pagoda of Trials was like a leisurely stroll, and no demons could pose a threat to him. And the points he obtained also rose rapidly. They were immediately sent to the score list and he directly reached first place. Everyone in the Holy Land saw it. Damn, what the hell is going on? How can this freak be so fast? How long has it been? He actually reached the 7th level of the Pagoda of Trials. Yeah, Che Guangliang, Sun Jiexing, and the others are still struggling on the 5th level, but he actually reached the 7th level. Are those demons really made of mud? They died too quickly. Is this kid going to suppress everyone and get first place this time? Impossible. Stop dreaming. This kid is a new disciple. How can he get first place? That's right. This kid passed so quickly probably because he's an illusionist. He can hypnotize thousands of terrifying demons with a thought. He's invincible against low-level demons, but it's different against powerful demons. They might not fall for his illusions. Indeed. He's just a little fast at the beginning. When he reaches the 7th and 8th levels, this kid will know how terrifying the Pagoda of Trials really is. Ordinary people at the peak of the Thunder Tribulation state can enter the 7th level of the Pagoda of Trials, geniuses can enter the 8th level, and geniuses can enter the 9th. Geniuses like Che Guangliang can probably enter the 10th level. It's already good enough that this kid can enter the 9th level. As for comparing him with geniuses like Che Guangliang, it's impossible. Indeed, there are already immortal realm demons on the 10th level of the Pagoda of Trials and they're in groups. Even a peerless genius like Che Guangliang can't resist them for too long. Just wait and see. Xiaoping will soon show his true colors. He's just joined the Holy Land of Taichu and Palace of Darkness, and he wants to suppress us senior brothers. That's impossible. Many disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu and the Palace of Darkness also saw the score rankings through the virtual network. They immediately discussed it, causing a huge uproar. They couldn't imagine that Xiaoping's ranking was so far ahead. Even so, they didn't think that Xiaoping could get first place. It was just a temporary ranking. After all, the Grand Tournament of Sacred Lands wasn't about the speed of passing the levels, but the true combat power of the disciples. So what if this kid passed the levels faster? In the end, he still wouldn't be able to pass the 9th level of the Pagoda of Trials. Even so, they were extremely anxious. They were senior brothers who had joined the Grand Tournament many years before this kid, but now they were being surpassed by a junior brother. It was too embarrassing. Especially Che Guangliang, Sun Jiexing, and the rest who saw this speed of breakthrough, their faces turned extremely gloomy. They increased their speed of passing the levels. They definitely couldn't let Xiaoping take the lead. Chapter 2255. At this moment, the sages outside the demon-subduing pagoda also saw this scene, and they could also see the scene of Xiaoping and the others passing the levels, so they saw more than the other disciples. Impressive. Xiaoping broke through the levels so fast that Che Guangliang and the others can't catch up with him at all. It can't be helped. He's an illusion master, born with powerful soul power. He's an expert in group battles. Even if all the abyssal demons attack together, they won't be a match for him. Indeed. With just a thought, these demons fell into the illusion. How can they resist? If this continues, will Xiaoping get first place this time? That's impossible. That's overestimating him. Although he broke through the first 6 levels like a hot knife through butter, there are many powerful demons imprisoned in the next few levels. At the same time, there are many demons that can resist the illusion technique. I'm afraid he won't be able to break through so quickly by then. Indeed. After all, he just broke through the Thunder Tribulation state not long ago, so his accumulation is not very strong. There is still a certain degree of gap between him and Che Guangliang and the others. It's good enough that he can reach the 9th level of the demon-subduing pagoda. The sages discussed and were a little surprised by Xiaoping's performance, but they didn't think that Xiaoping could keep leading. Sooner or later, Che Guangliang and the others would catch up with him. In fact, after Che Guangliang and the others saw the score ranking, They all became determined and no longer held back their strength. They advanced at full speed, breaking through the levels of the demon-subduing pagoda one after another, looking like a hot knife through butter. All the disciples from the Holy Land of Taichu and the Palace of Darkness could see that Che Guangliang and the others were rapidly catching up with Xia Ping's ranking. They also broke through to the 7th level of the demon-subduing pagoda. Haha, I knew that Che Guangliang, Sun Jiexing, and Huang Yong were strong enough to not be left behind so easily. Now that they're working hard, they'll immediately catch up. Just wait and see. Soon Xia Ping will be out of sight. He can only eat the dust behind Che Guangliang and the others. After all, he still lacks the foundation. He'll go back and practice for another 10 years. The disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu and the Palace of Darkness breathed a sigh of relief when they saw that the score kept changing and soon caught up with Xia Ping's ranking. Because if Xia Ping really won first place, they would probably lose everything they had. All of them cursed Xia Ping to be sent flying by the demons of the Yao Ceiling Pagoda and eliminated immediately. Some of the human ancestors were silent. Their eyes flickered as they instinctively sensed that there was something wrong with Xia Ping's aura. Chapter 2256. The news that Xia Ping had broken through to the 10th floor of the demon-subduing pagoda had spread to all the disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu and the Palace of Darkness. They were completely stunned by the news. Oh my god, is this kid a freak? He's only been in the Holy Land of Taichu for a year. He wasn't even in the Thunder Tribulation realm before, but he has broken through to the 10th floor of the demon-subduing pagoda. He's at the top. Is he still human? A disciple of the Holy Land of Taichu couldn't believe his eyes when he saw the ranking information. No matter how imaginative he was, he couldn't imagine that this kid could break through to the 10th floor of the demon-subduing pagoda. Because to break through to the 10th floor of the demon-subduing pagoda, it proved that he had the strength to wrestle with the immortal saints. People with such strength could basically rank in the top 10 among the disciples. Freak, he's really super freak. Is the illusion master really so invincible? Even the demons can't stop him? It's over, it's really over. If this kid really wins the competition, won't the 10,000 points I bet be frozen? More than that. If he has the strength to enter the 10th floor of the demon-subduing pagoda, even Che Guangliang's group may not be able to suppress him. Indeed, the gap between these geniuses who have the strength to enter the top 10 is actually not that big. It's hard to say who will be the first. It's hard to say who will be the first. Damn, if I knew this kid was so freakish, I wouldn't have bet with him. Some disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu and the Palace of Darkness had darkened their faces. They were anxious and restless. They had bet with Xia Ping because they thought they would win. But they didn't expect that there was a possibility that they would lose now. Once they lost the bet, they were afraid that all the wealth they had accumulated over the years would go down the drain. Such a loss was extremely heavy. But now that they had signed the contract, it was impossible for them to back out even if they wanted to. Brother Xia is really too strong. He really has the strength to compete with those peerless geniuses. It's simply beyond imagination. Wei Liangxing and the others were also amazed when they heard the news. At this time they had long been eliminated. They could only reach the 7th floor of the demon-subduing pagoda. Moreover, as soon as they reached the 7th floor, they were beaten like suns by a group of demons and were sent flying in a few moves. If not for the protection of the Yao Ceiling pagoda, they would have been dead by now. Therefore, they also knew how terrifying it was to break into the 10th level of the Yao Ceiling pagoda. If even the 7th level was so terrifying, then what about the 9th and 10th levels? They couldn't imagine it. At this time, Che Guangliang, Sun Jiexing, Zhang Ruishuan, and Huang Yong were also shocked by this news. They didn't expect Xia Ping's strength to be so fierce that he actually broke through to the 10th floor of the Yao Ceiling pagoda. To be honest, with their strength they could only barely break through to the 10th level. Xia Ping's current performance was enough to prove that his strength was not inferior to theirs. However, it was impossible for him to admit defeat just like that. As expected, this fellow is no ordinary person. No wonder he dared to sign a bet with us. He really does have some skills. But if you think you can defeat us like this, you must be dreaming. That's right. The competition has only just begun. Right now it's all about willpower. Whoever can last longer on the 10th floor of the Yao Ceiling pagoda will win. If you want to win like this, you're still far from it. We definitely won't lose to a junior brother who just joined us. Che Guangliang, Sun Jiexing, Zhang Ruishuan, Huang Yong, and the others were also burning with fighting spirit. They clenched their fists tightly, and their desire to win was completely aroused. An unprecedented fighting spirit surged out from their hearts. All of them seemed to be on steroids. They used all kinds of mystic arts and secret arts, using all their strength to slaughter the demons on the 9th level. They directly made it to the 10th level. The 10th level of the Yao Ceiling Pagoda was also a boundless space. There were far fewer demons imprisoned here, but each one was extremely powerful, at least at the sempiternal realm. Xia Ping's figure appeared on the 10th level of the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. He was immediately noticed by the many immortal realm demons. Their terrifying consciousnesses intertwined, twisting the space around them. A tribulation realm human actually broke through to the 10th level of the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. Damn it, another monstrous human has been born. Why are there so many geniuses like him in the human race? I can't accept this. Kill him immediately. Destroy the roots of the human race. Impossible. This is the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. We can't kill him at all. We can teleport him out with a thought. This is the human race's prison. Even if we can't kill him, we have to leave a strong psychological scar. It's blasphemy to let an ant like him appear here. That's right. Even if there's only a 1 in 10,000 chance, we have to give it our all. If the Yao Ceiling Pagoda is careless for even a moment, we'll have profited. We can kill him to our heart's content. Powerful voices came from the dark space around them, causing the space to tremble. The consciousnesses of hundreds of immortal realm demons spread out, exuding intense malice. When they saw Xia Ping, they immediately used their powerful psychic domains to envelop him, trying to extinguish all signs of life. Interesting. You want to kill me? Looks like you're tired of living. Xia Ping raised his eyebrows. He could sense the malice and psychic domains coming from all directions. This power covered the sky and crushed down, destroying the space. With a thought, a terrifying psychic domain spread out, covering a radius of billions of kilometers. Instantly, a terrifying sun seemed to be born in this dark space, shining brightly. It was like the birth of a legend, tearing the boundless darkness apart. In fact, an endless wave of heat spread out, burning everything in the surroundings, destroying all impurities. All darkness was expelled, and all matter was incinerated. Walala, immediately, the hundreds of immortal realm demons screamed in pain. They were burned by Xia Ping's psychic domain. The terrifying heat burned their organs. Their psychic domains couldn't stop it at all. Even their souls were heavily injured by this unparalleled power. From the depths of their bodies, a spiritual flame surged out and burned everywhere. They fell to the ground, screaming, losing all their ability to fight. Even though they had immortal bodies, they couldn't stop the damage to their souls. What a pity. Xia Ping felt a little regretful. If he could, he wanted to use the world tree to devour all these undying demons. However, this place was being monitored by the human race patriarchs. He didn't want to expose his huge secret at this time. Therefore, after heavily injuring these demons, he strode forward and reached the 11th level of the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. Chapter 2257. Outside the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. Seeing Xia Ping easily break through the 10th level of the Yao Ceiling Pagoda, the sages were all dumbfounded. They couldn't believe their eyes. Are you kidding me? There were hundreds of early-stage sempiternal demons imprisoned here, and they were all extremely powerful. How could this kid kill them all in one move? A human sage went crazy. Even though he had lived for billions of years and seen countless things, he had never seen a thunder retribution state cultivator this powerful. This was an immortal fiendish demon, a powerful existence with an immortal body. How could it be defeated so easily? It seemed like it couldn't even retaliate. Who was the immortal sage now? Spiritual realm. The spiritual realm that this kid used just now is definitely not just a thunder retribution state cultivator. He must have reached the sempiternal realm. A sage sensed the spiritual power that Xia Ping suddenly released. He felt a powerful immortal aura, which was definitely not something that a thunder retribution state cultivator could use. What? This kid reached the sempiternal realm? Didn't he just join the holy land of Taichu and was only at the peak of Dharma plane a year ago? How could he reach the sempiternal realm so quickly? Also, the spiritual realm that he released just now is extraordinary and extremely powerful. Obviously, he didn't break through by force. He must have a very profound cultivation base. Is it so easy to reach the sempiternal realm now? A kid who has only cultivated for a few decades is already comparable to us. Is it because we can't keep up with the times? But we can't sense the aura on this kid at all. I guess he has cultivated a powerful secret technique that can hide his aura and cultivation, or he has a powerful artifact that can hide his cultivation. That's why he can fool our senses. The sages were all dumbfounded. They didn't expect such a thing to happen. They were shocked by Xia Ping's sudden burst of cultivation. Dumbfounded was not enough to describe their shock. Taoist North Sea, when did your disciple reach the sempiternal realm? A sage looked at North Sea sage. Ancestral Master Kong Kong, Ancestral Master Xiao Yao, and other human ancestral masters were also very curious. They had more or less sensed Xia Ping's cultivation before, so they weren't too surprised. Even so, Xia Ping's rapid advancement was enough to arouse their curiosity. I'm not sure either. After all, it's only been a year. Perhaps he had some fortuitous encounter. Dark North Sage was also stunned. Although he already knew that this disciple of his was a monster and he did not need to worry about him, the problem was that this was a little too exaggerated. He had broken through to the immortal sage realm without anyone noticing. One must know that the sempiternal realm was an unparalleled realm that countless living beings in the myriad worlds yearned for. Once one reached the sempiternal realm, one would possess an eternal lifespan, transcending beyond the mortal world and stand above all. Throughout history, there had been many monstrous geniuses who had failed at the final hurdle, unable to make a breakthrough to the sempiternal realm. In the end, their lifespans ran dry and they died. If it was so easy to become a sage, there wouldn't be so few sages in the universe. But now, this brat had become an immortal saint without anyone noticing. Moreover, this brat was only at the peak of the Dharma plane a year ago. How could he have leveled up so quickly? How could he have broken through so easily? It was as if there were no bottlenecks. I see. If this brat is already an immortal saint, it's not impossible for him to break through the 10th level of the pagoda. In other words, it's only natural. However, since he has already become an immortal saint, why does he need to compete with a group of disciples? With such a cultivation level, he can already become a member of the All Sages Hall and one of the elders of the human race. I heard that this brat seems to have signed a bet with a group of disciples from the Sacred Lands to bet on who will be the champion of the Grand Tournament of Sacred Lands this time. They bet 5 million points. It's a big bet. What? 5 million points? Even an immortal saint would need a long time to earn that amount. What's the point of betting? Xia Ping is already an immortal saint. Who else can beat him? Even Che Guangliang and the other monstrous geniuses can't do it. Are they giving him money? But these disciples didn't know about this before. After all, this brat only joined the sacred land of Taichu a year ago. His cultivation level was only at the peak of the Dharma plane. Even if he had broken through during this time, he would at most be in the Thunder Trial realm. Who would have thought that he would break through to the immortal realm now? Moreover, this brat purposely hid his cultivation level and did not reveal the aura of the immortal realm. Otherwise, who would dare to bet with him? Shameless. This brat is really shameless. In order to get some points, he actually hid his cultivation level and competed with a group of kids with the strength of the immortal realm. He's too shameless. I've never seen such a shameless immortal saint. This is not a competition but beating up kids. Brother Dark North, why don't you control your shameless disciple? How can he bully others like that? He's already an immortal saint, but he still personally competed with a group of kids. The mouths of the human sages twitched. After hearing the reason, they immediately understood why Xia Ping would hide his cultivation level and participate in the Grand Tournament of Sacred Lands with the strength of the immortal realm. It was all to cheap points. All of them were speechless. After so many years, they had never seen such a shameless immortal saint. Ahem. Upon hearing this, Dark North Sage coughed and said, "Well, I've actually heard about this. I heard that it was Che Guangliang and his group who forced him to participate in the bet. If he didn't participate, they would say that they were not giving him face. They even threatened and tempted him. They even said that he was arrogant and looked down on others. He had no choice but to decline again and again. In the end, he reluctantly agreed. Although the rules of the human sacred lands do not allow sages to challenge mortals, there is no rule that prohibits mortals from challenging immortal saints. Therefore, this does not violate the rules of the sacred lands. Moreover, this was suggested by Che Guangliang and his group of people. They have the spirit to challenge and their courage is commendable. I don't think there's anything to be picky about. This is like Zhou Yu beating Wang Gai. One is willing to fight while the other is willing to suffer." He found an excuse for Xia Ping in a few words. indicating that this did not violate the rules of the sacred lands. Bullshit, Dark North old man, do you have any shame? At this moment, an immemorial sage jumped out. He was the Dark Wind Sage Che Guangliang's master. His face was as black as charcoal. This bastard hid his cultivation level, and that's why the disciples of the sacred lands challenged him. This is simply a trap. If he had revealed his true cultivation level from the start, who would be so stupid to challenge him? Chapter 2258. Hearing Dark Wind Sage's words, the other sages nodded. If Xia Ping had revealed his immortal sage cultivation right from the start, no one would have dared to challenge him. He might not even be able to participate in the grand tournament of Saint Lands. However, Xia Ping did not reveal his cultivation and was still an outer disciple of the Holy Land of Taichu. Therefore, he was qualified to participate in the grand tournament of Saint Lands. No matter what, they could tell that Xia Ping was a shameless and evil person. What are you talking about? If they didn't have ill intentions and wanted to bully others, this wouldn't have happened. Dark North Sage stood with his hands behind his back and said calmly, "Furthermore, my disciple is still a child. He's only a few decades old and is not from the same generation as Che Guangliang and the rest. If I were to be so calculative, Che Guangliang and the rest who are hundreds and thousands of years old would be bullying a child. Although my disciple has indeed advanced to the sempiternal realm, he's still a child in terms of age. Is it wrong for my disciple to cultivate so quickly and be so powerful?" Dark Wind Sage was so angry that he nearly fainted. In terms of age, Xia Ping was indeed a junior. In fact, he was only a child. In fact, Che Guangliang and the rest of the geniuses might look young, but they were all thousands of years old. Furthermore, they married early and even had grandchildren. Compared to them, Xia Ping was indeed just a child. Of course, there were countless races in the universe and there were too many long-lived creatures. Seniority was very messy and most of them were differentiated by strength. If one was not strong enough, no matter how long he lived, he would still be a junior and could only be a grandson. However, Dark North Sage was not wrong and they could not refute him. In fact, no matter how they looked at it, Xia Ping did not violate the rules of the sacred land. This was a blind spot. After all, who would have thought that a kid who was only a few decades old could advance to the sempiternal realm? This was unprecedented. Anyway, it's not like Che Guangliang and the rest did not lose out this time. My disciple only taught them one thing: don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge a book by its cover all the time. Dark North Sage said, "In fact, there are many races in the universe and there are many creatures who can hide their cultivation. If they were careless, they might lose their lives. Although they have lost some points, they have learned a great lesson and it's very meaningful. It's equivalent to paying a tuition fee. There are many benefits." Bullshit. Dark Wind Saint and the rest wanted to spit on Dark North Saint's face. It seemed like it wasn't just Xia Ping who had thick skin. Dark North Saint's skin was also extremely thick. He even said that he had spent money to buy a lesson, which was equivalent to paying a tuition fee. What kind of bullshit tuition fee was so expensive that he had to pay 1,000,000 points? If that was the case, not only should they not be angry after receiving this lesson, they should be grateful to him. They were so angry that they felt like punching the Dark North Sage. However, with so many great ancestors of the human clan watching, they couldn't afford to lose their sense of propriety. Therefore, they could only swallow their grievances in silence. There was nothing they could do. The news that Xia Ping was an immortal saint quickly spread throughout the Holy Land of Taichu. Whether it was the disciples who were still in the devil-subduing tower or those who had already been eliminated, everyone knew about it. Instantly, this news caused a huge uproar. Impossible. Xia Ping isn't at the Transcendence Realm or the Lightning Tribulation Realm. He has already reached the sempiternal realm and transcended beyond the mortal realm, becoming an undying life form. When some people heard this news, their worldview was shattered. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. Are you kidding me? This kid was only at the peak of the Transcendence Realm before. It was already a certainty that he would break through to the Lightning Tribulation Realm. But now he's telling me that he has reached the sempiternal realm? Impossible. What does this kid think the sempiternal realm is? How can it be so easy for him to break through? It's like drinking tea or eating a meal. Some people were greatly shocked. They couldn't accept this fact at all. I have been stuck at the peak of the Lightning Tribulation Realm for 3,000 years. I didn't dare to break through for fear of being struck to death by the lightning. But he has reached the sempiternal realm from the Transcendence Realm in just 1 year. Even if he is talented, he shouldn't be this outstanding. Is this news fake? Some people thought that this news might be fake. It can't be fake. This news was heard from the sages of the human clan. The great ancestors also admitted it personally. Xiaoping has indeed reached the sempiternal realm. Yeah, did you see that? This kid has already broken through the 10th floor of the devil-subduing tower. He can even easily kill the undying realm demons on this floor. Who can doubt his strength now? Oh my god, which rock did this brat jump out from? How can he be so terrifying? Doesn't he have a bottleneck? Breaking through is like drinking water. Many disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu and the Palace of Darkness didn't know what to say. They were all geniuses, but compared to Xiaoping, the gap was so big that it was scary. If they weren't too far off from Xiaoping, they might even be jealous of him. But now the gap was so big that it was boundless. They couldn't be jealous even if they wanted to. They could only admire Yi Ping from the bottom of their hearts. Such a figure could only be regarded as a legend. There were not many of them in real life. Most people were just amazed by this news, but some disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu and the Palace of Darkness who had signed a bet with Xiaoping were all furious. Because this matter was closely related to their interests. Oh my god, Xiaoping is an immortal sage. When did this happen? Just happened. The human sages confirmed it. There's no doubt about it. Also, he has broken through the 10th floor of the devil-subduing tower. He's very fierce. It's over, it's all over. Our points are frozen. 10,000 points. This time I bet 10,000 points with that bitch Xiaoping. Now it's all gone. Not even a cent, he's already an immortal sage. Who can beat him? Even Che Guangliang and the others can't. We're going to lose this time. There's no chance of winning at all. Fuck, shameless. Xiaoping is so shameless. He's already an immortal sage, but he still pretended to be weak and bet with us. He's obviously taking the opportunity to cheat us of our money. Fuck Xiaoping. An immortal sage is so shameless. He even cheats us out of our points. How much money does this bastard need? He won't even let us go. This is a trap. He's the banker. This is a large-scale fraud. Does no one care about this bastard? The disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu and the Palace of Darkness wailed. They knew that they were completely screwed this time. They couldn't earn a single cent from Xiaoping. Chapter 2259. Meanwhile, on the 10th floor of the Yaoxiling Pagoda. It's done. We've finally reached the 10th floor. It really took a lot of effort. There are too many demons on this floor and they're too terrifying. There are even tribulation lightning level demons. These demons are too hard to kill. They're formless and formless. Indeed. It's already very impressive to be able to break through the 9th floor. Our efforts over the years were not in vain. Last time we were instantly eliminated. Xiaoping is too freakish. It's his first time in the Yaoxiling Pagoda, but he already passed it so easily. Yes, but no matter what, we're finally on the same starting line as that kid. It's not too embarrassing. While countless disciples from the Holy Land of Taichu and Palace of Darkness were complaining, Che Guangliang, Sun Jiexing, Zhang Ruishuan, and Huang Yong finally made it to the 10th floor. They couldn't help but sigh in relief because they could finally stand on the same starting line as Xiaoping. Next, it would be a matter of who could last longer on the 10th floor. However, they didn't have any hopes of passing the 10th floor. After all, the demons imprisoned here had basically all reached the immortal realm. They were already peerless geniuses if they could fight against one and not die. As for fighting against a bunch of demons, that was just a dream. In fact, this was also the limit of tribulation lightning level cultivators. The gap between them was almost insurmountable for mortals. But it's been so long. I'm afraid that kid has already been eliminated. It's already very impressive that he could last on the 10th floor for a while. After careful calculation, I can only last a few minutes. There's nothing we can do. The demons on the 10th floor are too terrifying. They're all at the immortal realm. There's no way we can stop them. I wonder how long the kid lasted. I hope it's not too long. Otherwise, there's no hope of surpassing him. At this time, Che Guangliang and the others finally had some free time. There was a safe zone in front of the entrance of the 10th floor. It gave them a short break so they wouldn't have to face the immortal realm demons on the 10th floor immediately. In order to break through the 9th floor, countless demons had attacked them. It was extremely dangerous, so they didn't have time to look at the ranking list. Only now did they have some time. But when they opened it, they were all stunned. It showed that Xiaoping had easily broken through the 10th floor of the Yaoxiling Pagoda and reached the 11th floor. Fuck, what's going on? How did Xiaoping break through the 10th floor of the Yaoxiling Tower? Are you kidding me? Didn't he only enter the Holy Land of Taichu for a year? Huang Yong took a closer look and immediately cursed. He simply couldn't believe his eyes. To them, surviving on the 10th floor for a while was already a great achievement. As for breaking through the 10th floor, that was impossible. But now, Xiaoping had easily broken through the 10th floor of the Yaoxiling Pagoda. This was beyond their imagination. They felt as if their hearts had been pierced. What? That lad isn't actually a lightning tribulation realm cultivator but a sempiternal realm cultivator. That's why he was able to clear the 10th floor of the demon ceiling pagoda so easily. It did not take long for Sun Jiexing and the others to find the news on the internet, and they discovered that Xiaoping had managed to advance to sempiternal realm. This news had left them feeling a little confused. This was even more shocking than Xiaoping breaking through the 10th floor of the Yaoxiling Pagoda. After all, this lad had only been in the Holy Land of Taichu for a year. Before this, he was only at the peak of the Dharma plane. Now, he had actually advanced to the sempiternal realm. This speed of breaking through was even faster than driving a spaceship. It's over, it's all over now. We've been tricked by this bastard. At this time, Che Guangliang finally remembered something. His face turned green. This bastard did it on purpose. He clearly knew that he had advanced to the sempiternal realm, but he still pretended to be weak. His purpose was to cheat us of a lot of points. Bastard, this shameless bitch. I've never seen such a shameless guy. He's too despicable. He immediately knew that he had been completely tricked by Xiaoping. No, that's impossible. I've bet 1,000,000 points. A whole 1,000,000 points. How long will it take to earn them back? Sun Jiexing's face turned completely green. He was so angry that he exploded on the spot. Thinking that he had been cheated of millions of points by this bastard, he felt as if his heart was being pierced by a knife. He wanted nothing more than to beat this shameless immortal saint up. He was already an immortal saint, an extraordinary existence. How could he be so shameless? He even signed a bet with them. His purpose was to cheat them of their money. It was as if a billionaire pretended to be poor to cheat them of their money. They were the ones who proposed the bet, and that lad had only agreed after some hesitation. It was as if they had taken the initiative to give him money, which made them even more furious. Now, not only had they lost the bet, but they had also been played like monkeys. This kind of humiliation was simply indescribable. Bitch Xia, you cheated this kind of money? You'll get what you deserve sooner or later. Invalid. I declare this kind of swindling bet invalid immediately. An immortal saint came to compete with us. Why don't you go to heaven? Do you have any shame? Do you have any dignity as a saint? Fucking Xiaoping, I'll remember you. Remember to be careful when you go out on the streets. Don't get hit by a meteor or struck by lightning. Che Guangliang, Sun Jiexing, and the others were hopping mad. If Xiaoping appeared in front of them now, they would probably rush up and fight to the death with this damn liar. They had been cultivating smoothly for thousands of years. They had never suffered any setbacks. Outside, countless forces treated them with respect. Who would dare to play any tricks on them? Now, they had actually fallen into the hands of a little brat. They had been cheated of millions of points by this bastard. It was hard to imagine how heavy their losses were. Fuck, this guy is breaking through again? Huang Yang's eyes widened. He realized that Xiaoping's points were rising rapidly. 11th floor, 12th floor, 13th floor, 14th floor, 15th floor. In the end, this kid had reached the 20th floor of the Yaoxiling Pagoda. On this floor, there were many peak sempiternal realm demons imprisoned. As for the 21st floor, there were many demons who had comprehended the law of space. Their strength was more than 100 times more terrifying. After reaching the 20th floor of the Yaoxiling Pagoda, Xiaoping seemed to be eliminated. But even if he was eliminated, they knew that Xiaoping had already won. After all, even a lightning tribulation realm expert couldn't reach the 20th floor of the Yaoxiling Pagoda even if they were on steroids. Bitch Xiaoping, you and I are irreconcilable. Seeing this, Zhang Ruishuan was so angry that he vomited blood. With a puff, he fainted on the spot and was eliminated by the Yaoxiling Pagoda. The others also persisted for a period of time before being eliminated one after another. Xiaoping's points were far ahead of everyone else. No one could shake him. Chapter 2260. Clang. At this moment, a bell rang and resounded through the entire demon-subduing pagoda. This announced that the grand tournament of Holy Lands had ended and everyone had been eliminated, including Xiaoping. In order not to expose his true strength, Xiaoping admitted defeat as soon as he reached the 20th level of the demon-subduing pagoda. Otherwise, it would be too shocking and would attract the attention of countless sages across the heavens if news of him being able to fight against and even kill a demon in the immortal realm were to spread. If there were benefits, he would not mind exposing his true strength. However, there were no benefits at all. Instead, there were many disadvantages and it was completely unnecessary to do so. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, all the disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu and the Palace of Darkness had been teleported out of the demon-subduing pagoda and returned to the square of the Holy Land of Taichu. Many of them had suffered serious injuries. Although the demon-subduing pagoda could protect them from death, this was a real battle after all. Moreover, those demons hated humans so much that they would kill every time they attacked. Injuries were inevitable. However, these were only minor injuries that could be recovered after a period of time. However, what everyone was concerned about now was not this trivial matter, but Xia Ping, who had already advanced to the immortal realm. No one expected that Xia Ping, who had only been in the sect for a year, could advance to the immortal realm without anyone noticing. This was too shocking and they found it hard to believe such a fact. Especially those who had signed a bet with Xia Ping, they gnashed their teeth in hatred and wished that they could beat up this shameless guy. Che Guangliang, Huang Yong, Sun Jiexing, and the others all looked at Xia Ping with resentment. As for Zhang Ruishuan, he had already fainted from anger and had yet to wake up. Haha, everyone. At this moment, Xia Ping walked out of the demon-subduing pagoda, looking refreshed and cheerful. I admit it. I accidentally won first place. You guys don't mind, right? Bullshit. The group of people was going crazy. He was simply lying through his teeth. He even said that he accidentally won first place when he was already an immortal sage and his strength surpassed all of them. This competition could be said to be in the bag. How was it an accident? They were infuriated by Xia Ping's shamelessness. They had never seen such a despicable bastard. It was simply nonsense to say that they wouldn't mind. How could they not mind this kind of thing? They simply minded it to death. They wished that this gamble had never happened. Regardless of whether you guys mind or not, I've won this bet. Feels so good. I got 5 million points in one go and it was given to me by someone else. I don't want them to be angry with me. I don't even know how to spend so many points. Do you guys have any suggestions? Xia Ping looked at everyone with a smile. Do you have any opinions? The group of people's faces all turned green. They wanted nothing more than to slap Xia Ping's face. Looking at his smug appearance, this was clearly a villain intoxicated by success. They had never seen such a shameless villain. They were so angry that they were about to go crazy. It was fine if they won the bet, it was fine if they were cheated, it was fine if they were unlucky. It was their poor judgment, but this brat actually dared to show off in front of them, flaunting his prowess. This kind of thing couldn't be tolerated at all. Even a coward wouldn't be able to tolerate this kind of thing. And this bastard was so smug, saying that he didn't know how to spend so many points. Fuck, if they had so many points they could spend them in minutes. And he said that he didn't know how to spend them. Honestly, they wished they could capture Xia Ping, put him in a gunny sack and beat him up in the alley. Let's see if this bastard still dared to show off in front of them. Brother Che, Brother Huang, Brother Sun, this competition was really intense. I didn't expect that you could reach the 10th level of the subduing demon tower. You're worthy of being peerless geniuses. You really opened my eyes. If I hadn't reached the immortal realm, I probably wouldn't have been able to win. Xia Ping said casually, stepping forward to greet them. Intense my ass. Che Guangliang and the others were so angry that smoke came out of their noses. This time they were obviously beaten up and couldn't even fight back. There was a huge gap between the two sides, but he said it was an intense competition. Saying such words was like slapping their faces. Moreover, what did he mean by, I didn't expect that they could reach the 10th level of the subduing demon Tao? What did he mean by, they're worthy of being peerless geniuses? What did he mean by, open my eyes? Was this really something a junior brother who had just joined for a year could say? This attitude of looking down on them and giving them pointers clearly showed that he had already taken them as his seniors and was giving them guidance. He was treating them as if they were his juniors. And this bastard even said that if he hadn't reached the immortal realm, he might not have won. He seemed humble on the surface, but in fact he was mocking them. He clearly said that they couldn't reach the immortal realm even if they lived for thousands of years, but he reached the immortal realm in just a few decades. The gap was so huge that they weren't even on the same level. If it weren't for the fact that they couldn't beat this bastard, and that there were sages around, they might have rushed up and given this bastard a combo punch or something to let this junior brother know how powerful he was. Senior brother Zhang Ruishuan, why did you faint? Was the battle on the 10th level of the subduing demon tower so intense? You seemed to have vomited blood. Those demons were so hateful and their attacks were so vicious? Senior brother, are you okay? Wake up. Xia Ping also noticed Zhang Ruishuan, who was unconscious on the ground, and patted him a few times, trying to wake him up. Enough. Huang Yong was so angry that his nose almost became crooked. This bastard still had the nerve to say that Zhang Ruishuan fainted because of you, not because of those demons. Moreover, such a fainted person was already very pitiful, and he should be given a rest. But now this bastard was completely blind and wanted to wake Zhang Ruishuan up. Did he want to make Zhang Ruishuan faint again? He stepped forward like a father protecting his child, and protected Zhang Ruishuan in his arms, lest he continued to suffer from Xia Ping's vicious attacks. Senior brother Che, seeing Huang Yong's expression, Xia Ping ignored him. He saw Che Guangliang and the others and also stepped forward, trying to get close to them. Humph. The faces of Che Guangliang and the others darkened. They were afraid that this bastard would continue to pester them and secretly hurt their confidence. They waved their hands and hurriedly left this place. They didn't want to stay with this bastard for even a second. Seeing this guy made them angry, and they were afraid that they couldn't suppress the anger in their hearts and couldn't control themselves. The group of people bared their teeth, looking at Xia Ping as if they had seen a god of plague, and hurriedly avoided him. They were completely helpless against such a troublemaker. They couldn't beat him and they couldn't afford to provoke him. Chapter 2261. Xia Ping, come here. At this moment, a familiar voice entered Xia Ping's sea of consciousness. Xia Ping immediately sensed that it was the voice of his master, Dark North Saint. He looked up and saw Dark North Saint standing in the distant sky, and many powerful human sages appeared around him. Each of their auras was as deep as an abyss, unfathomable. Especially the few old men standing next to Dark North Saint, it was as if even the laws of the universe had retreated around them, and the concept of life and death had disappeared from them. He immediately knew that these old men were obviously human patriarchs who were on par with his master, or even more powerful. They were peerless overlords of this universe and sages who had reached the invincible realm. Swoosh. Thinking of this, Xia Ping didn't hesitate. With a flash, he immediately came to Dark North Saint's side. Master. Xia Ping greeted the Dark North Saint. Only now did he sense that his master's aura was even more unfathomable. It was as if countless laws of the universe had appeared on his master and formed the perfect laws of the world. It was as if his master himself was a universe, so powerful that it made people's hair stand on end. Originally, he thought that after he reached the immortal realm and could even kill near-ancient sages, he would be on par with his master, Dark North Saint. But now it seemed that he was still far behind. Of course, after Xia Ping reached the immortal realm, he had greatly narrowed the gap between him and his master. Swoosh, swoosh. Immediately, many sages present focused their eyes on Xia Ping, including the masters of Che Guangliang and Huang Yong. They all had strange expressions on their faces. They were a little annoyed and disdainful. Of course, they weren't so embarrassed that they flew into a rage. After all, Xia Ping had only cheated some points from these disciples of the sages. He didn't make any mortal enemies, so he was only cheated once. Most importantly, no matter how thick-skinned Xia Ping was, he was still a peerless genius with amazing talent. He was a genius who had reached the immortal realm in just a few decades of cultivation. Based on this alone, no sage dared to look down on him. Of course, another important reason was that Dark North Saint was Xia Ping's master. With such a powerful master protecting him, even if someone had any ill intentions, they wouldn't dare to show it here. Well, let me introduce you. This is Patriarch Xiaoyao, one of the human patriarchs. Dark North Saint introduced the sages present to Xia Ping. Greetings, Patriarch. Xia Ping blinked his eyes. This is the first time we've met. I wonder if the old ancestor has any greeting gifts? A greeting gift? Upon hearing this, the group of sages had strange expressions on their faces. They already knew that this brat was thick-skinned, but they didn't expect him to be so thick-skinned to this extent. The moment they met, he wanted to ask for a greeting gift from the old ancestor. The corners of Xiaoyao ancestral master's mouth twitched involuntarily. He didn't expect that he would be extorted by a junior one day. Xia Ping, what are you talking about? Do you know how to speak? Dark North Saint scolded. What kind of person is the great ancestor? He's rich and overbearing, a man of indomitable spirit. How could he possibly lack a small gift from you? You only know how to ask for a greeting gift all day long. How insensible. I'm sorry, Master. I've indeed gone a little overboard. In fact, I don't really care whether or not I have a greeting gift. Even if I don't have one, I'll still work hard to contribute to the human race. I'll do my best until my death. Xia Ping said obediently. It's good that you know you're wrong. It's the most important thing to correct your mistakes. Dark North Saint nodded. Then he turned to look at the Xiaoyao Ancestral Master and said, Ancestral Master, I'm really sorry. My disciple is like this. He comes from the countryside and doesn't know the rules. He's still young and thinks that the elders will give him a greeting gift when they meet for the first time, such as a red envelope. I hope the Ancestral Master can forgive him for his presumptuous behavior. Seeing these two bitches echoing each other, the sages felt like their mouths were about to twitch. What are they doing? Are they extorting us in public? It's too shameless. How shameless. He said it as if they wouldn't know the rules if they didn't give him a gift. Besides, Xia Ping was indeed very young and was only a few decades old. In their eyes, he was no different from a kid who was 3 or 4 years old. What he said was just a child's babble and he couldn't say anything. If Che Guangliang and the others dared to say these words, they would probably be slapped. No, it's okay. He's just a kid. As an elder, I should give him a greeting gift when we meet for the first time. The Xiaoyao Ancestral Master felt that he was forced by the bitch Dark North Saint and had no choice but to give a gift. As an elder, it was normal for him to give a small gift to a kid, and no one dared to say it was wrong. Besides, as an Ancestral Master, if he gave too little gift, others would probably look down on him. After thinking for a while, he took out something from his clothes. It was a white stone. The moment the white stone appeared, all the sages felt like the area within a radius of billions of kilometers was enveloped by a layer of mist. They seemed to have fallen into endless layers of illusions, and they couldn't extricate themselves. This is a mirage mist stone. Some sages couldn't help but yell as they recognized the stone and found it unbelievable. That's right. This is a mirage mist stone. Xiaoyao Ancestral Master smiled faintly and said, When we annihilated the Illusion Clan, the Patriarch of the Illusion Clan detonated their Peerless Saint artifact, Mirage Mist Bead. But after the collapse of this Peerless Saint artifact, I used Reverse Heaven and Earth to gather the essence of this shattered Peerless Saint artifact. After several days of refining, it finally became a Mirage Mist Stone. It's a treasure formed by the shattered Peerless Saint artifact Mirage Mist Bead. Isn't this the origin of the Mirage Mist Bead? If we can refine this Mirage Mist Bead carefully, it might become another Peerless Saint artifact in the future. The sage's eyes turned green. They knew that if they could get this Mirage Mist Stone and refine it with other materials, they might recreate the glory of the Peerless Saint artifact Mirage Mist Bead. Back then, the illusion race had dominated the universe for such a long time with the power of the Peerless Saint artifact Mirage Mist Bead. If anyone could get this Saint artifact again, not to mention the increase in strength, few people could kill them. This life-saving ability was enough to make countless sages green with envy. At their level, they naturally knew how precious treasures that could save their lives were. Now that the Xiaoyao Ancestral Master was willing to take out the Mirage Mist Stone, they looked at Xia Ping with jealousy in their eyes. Seeing this, Dark North Saint said immediately, Xia Ping, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and thank the Ancestral Master. He was a bit afraid that the Xiaoyao Ancestral Master would go back on his words. He'd better get the treasure as soon as possible before it was too late to regret. Thank you, Ancestral Master. Xia Ping stepped forward and said obediently. Chapter 2262. Swoosh. The Xiaoyao Ancestral Master waved his hand lightly and sent the Mirage Mist Stone to Xia Ping. He smiled faintly and said, Well, this treasure belongs to you now. Remember to make good use of it and don't waste my efforts. Although the Mirage Mist Stone was precious, it was just an ordinary treasure for an overlord of the universe like him. The reason why he was willing to give such a treasure was that he cherished talents. After all, Xia Ping had reached the immortal realm in just a few decades and had a strong foundation. If he was nurtured well, he might be able to give the human clan another invincible sage, which was much more worthwhile than a supreme sacred artifact. Besides, if Xia Ping's fame spread out, it would definitely shock all the races in the universe. They were all afraid of the human clan and would probably kill Xia Ping in advance. Therefore, he decided to give Xia Ping a treasure like the Mirage Mist Stone, which could greatly increase Xia Ping's life-saving ability and prevent this genius from dying prematurely. Thank you, Ancestral Master. Xia Ping took the Mirage Mist Stone. He could sense that this special stone seemed to contain the unimaginable power of laws, as if it was all-encompassing and contained the entire universe. However, these laws were illusory and incredible. But now wasn't the time to study this mirage mist stone. After observing it for a while, he immediately took it back. Disciple, this is the empty sky ancestral master, who specializes in the space-time Tao. This is the Long River sage, who specializes in the water Tao. This is the Silver Moon sage, an immemorial sage who has lived since the primeval age. Dark North sage stepped forward and introduced the human sages to Xiaoping one by one. Greetings, seniors. Xiaoping stepped forward and greeted them one by one, looking cute and harmless. However, the sages didn't look so good because this bastard Dark North sage was obviously using this opportunity to earn money and help his disciple get a gift. What a shameless bastard. However, since the Xiaoyao ancestral master gave them such a precious gift, how could they, the sages, say no to it? If they said no, they would be shameless. No matter how precious the gift was, they had to give him something, and it couldn't be too ordinary. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to present it to him. Junior brother Xia, this is a golden thunder bamboo, a special plant born from the mystic zones. It contains the metal and thunder origin energies, making it an excellent material for refining weapons. I'll give it to you now. This is Tai E Gold Essence, a cosmic-level rare material. It is a top-grade material for crafting saint artifacts. If it can be used to supplement the Mirage Mist Stone, it might be possible to craft a peerless saint artifact. I hope it will be of great help to you. This is a 7 treasures resurrection pill that this old man refined. It's a saint-tier pill. Even if one's soul is heavily injured, taking this pill will allow one to recover within 7 days. The corners of the saints' mouths twitched. They had no choice but to take out their treasures as gifts. All of them felt extremely pained, as though their flesh was being cut off. However, in the face of such hidden extortion, there was nothing they could do. Hearing these words, Xiaoping's eyes widened in excitement. As expected of a saint of the human race, he was indeed rich and overbearing. Any treasure he casually took out was priceless, and none of them could be found in the treasury of the illusion race. However, this was also a matter of course. The human race was one of the top races in the universe. Needless to say, it was not something that a race like the illusion race could compare with. The gap between them could not be calculated with numbers. As the saints of the Holy Land of Taichu and the Palace of Darkness, their wealth was far greater than that of the saints of other races. This was the so-called, leaning on a big tree makes one feel the shade. He stepped forward one by one and reached out to take these treasures. You're too kind. If you have time, why don't you come to my Baiming Peak for a meal? The North Sea Saint looked at the group of saints with a kind smile. He was a saint of the Holy Land of Taichu, and he also had his own official residence in the Holy Land of Taichu. In fact, every saint of the Holy Land of Taichu could have their own mountain in the Holy Land of Taichu as a place for cultivation if they joined the All Saints Palace. Hearing these words, the faces of the saints turned green. This kind of smile was clearly a hidden dagger. Now that they had been cheated of so many treasures, if they really went to the Baiming Peak for a meal and 3 glasses of wine, they would be drunk. At that time, they were afraid that all the treasures they had would be plundered by the other party. It wasn't a meal, it was like sending sheep into a tiger's mouth. There was nothing more dangerous than this. No, I suddenly remembered that I still have something to do. Yeah, it seems that I'm about to succeed in making a furnace of elixir pills. It's almost time and I can't delay. Indeed, I'm at a critical moment in making a top-grade sacred artifact. I'm afraid I can't leave now. Taoist North Sea, I'm really sorry. We're all busy and don't have time for a gathering. Next time. If there's a chance, let's get together again. The saints quickly found many excuses and quickly left the place, fearing that they would be caught by the North Sea Saint and slaughtered like fat sheep. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In a few breaths, the group of saints ran away, leaving only a few human ancestral masters. Seeing the saints' panicked expressions, the North Sea Saint was in a good mood. Then he said to the Xiaoyao ancestral master and the others, "Ancestral master, it's time for me to return to the Baiming Peak." Okay, you can go back. The Xiaoyao ancestral master nodded, not minding. Xiaoping, come back with me. The North Sea Saint said to Xiaoping. He had something to tell Xiaoping. Yes, master. Xiaoping nodded. He knew that his master must have a lot of things to tell him. Whoosh, whoosh. As soon as he said that, the North Sea Saint waved his hand. Instantly, the space twisted and the two disappeared. What do you think of Xiaoping? Haha, he's thick-skinned and black-hearted. At least we don't have to worry about him being tricked. That's indeed the case. Some human geniuses grew up in such a good environment and received such good protection that they're like flowers in a greenhouse. Once they head to the strife zones, they would most likely suffer a calamity. Many human geniuses died because of this. However, if the news of this guy advancing to the sempiternal realm spreads out, the other races will probably feel uneasy. I'm afraid that they'll kill him. Should we hide the news of this little guy? What's there to hide? Only mediocre people don't get jealous. Besides, this matter can't be hidden at all. Indeed. Danger is also an opportunity. Back then, North Sea Saint also suffered a lot when he grew up. How can he reach the invincible realm without suffering? It all depends on this little guy's luck in the future. The human ancestral masters discussed among themselves. For existences who stood at the peak of the universe, Xiaoping's actions were harmless. They had seen too many things. Chapter 2263. Holy Land of Taichu Dark North Peak. At this moment, Xiaoping followed Dark North Saint to this cave abode. Not bad. In a hall of the Dark North Peak, Dark North Saint looked at Xiaoping with a satisfied smile. I thought it would take you at least 1,000 years to reach the sempiternal realm. I didn't expect you to succeed in just a few decades. You've also accumulated a lot to reach the sempiternal realm. You're not one of those weak immortal saints. He could see that Xiaoping's foundation was very solid. He could see that from Xiaoping's performance in the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. To be able to reach the sempiternal realm and reach all 19 floors was not something an ordinary immortal saint could do. Some immortal saints were different. They used everything they had to barely reach the sempiternal realm. This was already exhausting their potential. Without any fortuitous encounters, it would be difficult for them to improve further. These immortal saints were basically weak. Some could not even beat those at the peak of the tribulation lightning realm. They could only live longer because of their immortal bodies. No. Compared to Master, I'm still far behind. Xiaoping said modestly. Not bad. You know how to be humble. Dark North Saint smiled. Although you've reached the sempiternal realm, you're still the weakest among the sages. This only means that you have an infinite lifespan, but it doesn't mean that you're immortal. Although the immortal body is very powerful, there are countless powerful sages in the universe. Those who can kill you are simply too many to count. Every time a sage breaks through to a new realm, the difference in strength is like heaven and earth. Especially since you reached the sempiternal realm in just a few decades. This talent is enough to shock the entire universe. Those alien races will probably be very wary of you and will kill you as soon as possible. Back then, I was almost killed by the alien races several times. A cold light flashed in his eyes as if he had recalled some near-death experiences. The space within a radius of hundreds of millions of kilometers trembled, and ripples appeared in the air. There were countless races in the universe. Although the human race was one of the peak races with unparalleled strength, there were also some races that could compare with the human race, such as the Yao race, the insect race, the dragon race, the elemental race, and so on. These alien races were all very powerful. The human race was constantly competing with these races for resources and territory. There was an irreconcilable hatred between them. Although these races were barely united because of the abyss demons, there were countless struggles in the dark and in the open. If there was a chance to kill some monstrous human geniuses and weaken the human race's potential, they wouldn't mind doing such a thing. The same was true for the human race. There was no right or wrong in this. It was just a matter of the survival of the race. It was either you die or I live. What do you plan to do next? At the thought of this, Dark North Sage began to ask Xiaoping about his next cultivation plan. Although Xiaoping had already become an immortal sage, this was only the beginning for the great way of the sage. It was not the end at all. I might go to the mystic zones to train. Xiaoping revealed his next plan. Mystic zone? Hearing this, Dark North Sage nodded. You're from the Eastern Cosmos, so you might not be very clear about how powerful the mystic zones are. This is a place where thousands of races fight for hegemony. There are countless universe treasures born there. It's also the place where the races fight the most. Immortal sages are not considered powerful existences in the mystic zones. They can barely survive there. Of course, this place was also the most suitable place for saints to cultivate. If they could snatch a universe treasure, their cultivation speed would immediately increase by leaps and bounds, and they would ascend to a supreme realm. Many fortuitous encounters would occur in this place. However, there are countless sages who want to stand out in the mystic zones. Basically, All the sages in the entire universe will enter the mystic zones. You will also encounter sages from countless races. These alien races have strange and ever-changing methods. Some races might not be considered peak races, but their own abilities are extremely strange and hard to deal with. If you're not careful, you might be ambushed and die without even knowing how. You have to be very careful. Don't trust anyone easily. Yes, Master. Xia Ping nodded, indicating that he definitely wouldn't be careless. After experiencing so many things, he naturally knew that there were countless powerful people in the universe. Sometimes, a moment of carelessness could lead to his death. No one was absolutely invincible. At this point, Dark North Sage suddenly grabbed something from the depths of the void. He casually flipped it over and suddenly, a dark golden talisman appeared in front of Xia Ping. This dark golden talisman emitted an indescribably strange aura. It was deep and unfathomable, as if it contained the power of destiny. There was an endless amount of profound energy hidden within. Master, what's this? Xia Ping looked curiously at the item that Dark North Sage took out. This is an extremely precious secret treasure I obtained from an extremely dangerous secret realm in the universe. It's called the Life Substitution Talisman. Dark North Sage said in a deep voice, if you put this Life Substitution Talisman on you, it can help you block 5 fatal attacks and reverse the laws of life and death. Then, you'll be teleported to a random corner of the universe by the energy of the Life Substitution Talisman. However, I've used this Life Substitution Talisman 3 times and blocked 3 fatal attacks for me. Now this Life Substitution Talisman only has 2 uses left. Previously, the Xiaoyao Ancestral Patriarch and the others wanted to trade with me with a Peerless Saint artifact, but I refused. So, you must make good use of it. Don't waste it easily and seek death everywhere. He looked at Xia Ping seriously. In fact, the reason why he progressed so fast and surpassed his peers wasn't only because of his monstrous talent but also because of this Life Substitution Talisman. With this Death Substitute Talisman, he was fearless and entered a few extremely dangerous secret realms of the universe to train himself. From there, he obtained some extremely precious universe treasures. Although he almost died 3 times and wasted 3 chances of rebirth, he also gained a lot and ascended to the Invincible Saint realm, becoming an overlord of the universe. Master, this Life Substitution Talisman is too precious. I can't take it. Hearing this, Xia Ping immediately knew how precious this Life Substitution Talisman was. It could help its owner block 2 fatal attacks, which was equivalent to having 2 lives. How exaggerated was that? For a saint, such a secret treasure was indeed comparable to a Peerless Saint artifact. After all, people only had 1 life, and this talisman was equivalent to having 2 lives. How precious it was. If this news were to be released, it was unknown how many saints would drool over it, or even go completely crazy. This was a true life-saving method. Chapter 2264. If I tell you to take it, just take it. Don't be so long-winded. Dark North Sage said solemnly, Master, I have already advanced to the Invincible Sage realm, which is equivalent to a demigod. I have completely comprehended the laws of life and death, and my body has turned into a universe. I'm already close to being immortal. Although this Death Substitution Talisman is powerful, it can at most guarantee the survival of beings below the ancient sage realm. This special power of laws cannot guarantee the survival of invincible sages. If an attack can kill an invincible sage, then even the Death Substitution Talisman will be useless. So, although this Death Substitution Talisman looks very precious, it is useless to me. He indicated that his strength had already exceeded the range of the Death Substitution Talisman's protection. Basically, this secret treasure was not very useful to him. But to an immortal sage like Xia Ping, it was extremely useful. It was equivalent to having 2 lives. In that case, I will accept it. Thank you, Master. Seeing the determined look in Dark North Sage's eyes, Xia Ping had no choice but to accept it and keep the Death Substitution Talisman. His heart was filled with gratitude and endless warmth. To be honest, he was not related to Dark North Sage, nor was he related by blood. They were just master and disciple, but he was treated so wholeheartedly, and the other party did not ask for anything in return. In fact, for an overlord of the universe like this, with their strength they could obtain any treasures or resources. A little guy like Xia Ping would not be able to help them at all. But even so, Dark North Sage still treated him like this. To a certain extent, he was no different from a second parent. He secretly decided that if there was a chance in the future, he would definitely repay Dark North Sage. Well, just accept it. Anyway, don't embarrass me when you go out. If there's nothing else, you can leave. Dark North Sage saw that Xia Ping accepted the death substitution talisman, and was very satisfied. He believed that with the death substitution talisman, Xia Ping would not be killed by the sages so easily. This was his only disciple and he could not let him be killed just like that. Then he sat cross-legged on the praying mat, seemingly planning to meditate and cultivate. In fact, the main reason he called Xia Ping this time was to give Xia Ping the death substitution talisman. Yes, master. Seeing Dark North Sage like this, Xia Ping nodded. It was not good to disturb his master's cultivation now, so he left Dark North Peak alone. However, as soon as he left the Dark North Peak, a white-robed elder suddenly walked up to him. He was a sempiternal realm pinnacle sage. Junior brother Xia, this old man is the steward of the All Saints Palace, White Willow Sage. I've been waiting near the northern Dark Peak for a long time. The white-robed old man introduced himself. Oh, I wonder why White Willow Saint is looking for me? You're actually waiting for me at the Biming Peak? Xia Ping raised his eyebrows and looked at the old man in white curiously. He was not worried that the old man would cause trouble for him. After all, the old man was a saint of the human clan, and this was the holy land of Taichu. Here's the thing. I'm here to tell junior brother Xia that you've become an immortal saint and have automatically been promoted to the All Saints Palace. As a member of the All Saints Palace, your authority and treatment in the holy land of Taichu will be improved. White Willow Sage smiled. Xia Ping's heart skipped a beat. The All Saints Hall was the strongest organization of the human race. It was also a powerful force that many human saints had gathered together. Only saints could join. As a matter of fact, the first thing the inner disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu and the Palace of Darkness did after reaching the sempiternal realm was to join the All Saints Palace. In this way they would receive great benefits in the All Saints Palace and become one of the high-level leaders of the human clan. What are the benefits of becoming a member of the All Saints Palace? Xia Ping asked. Of course there are great benefits. First of all, you'll get permanent residence in the Holy Land of Taichu. You can also bring your immediate family members to live in the Holy Land of Taichu and have a certain quota to recommend geniuses to join the Holy Land of Taichu. White Willow Sage immediately smiled. At the same time, as a member of the All Saints Palace, you're also qualified to have your own mountain in the Holy Land of Taichu. These are all ownerless mountains. You can pick any one you like. He waved his hand and suddenly a virtual projection appeared in front of Xia Ping. Tens of millions of towering mountains appeared. They were densely packed and surrounded by clouds and mist, covering every corner of the Holy Land of Taichu like immortal mountains. There are so many mountains? Xia Ping blinked his eyes. Of course. After all, the Holy Land of Taichu is too big and there are too few saints. As a result, these mountains can't be fully occupied. White Willow Sage smiled. Okay, then I'll choose this mountain and name it Yellow Flame Peak. Xia Ping casually chose a mountain peak as his residence, and this mountain peak was exactly 100,000 kilometers away from the Dark North Peak. Anyway, it didn't make much difference which mountain was in the Holy Land of Taichu. Therefore, it was better to choose a mountain close to his master. In this way they could take care of each other and it would be convenient for him to find his master if anything happened. Okay, then this mountain will belong to you from now on, junior brother Xia. I've already registered it. No one can enter Yellow Flame Peak at will. Otherwise they'll be locked up in the demon subduing tower forever. Seeing the mountain Xia Ping chose, White Willow Sage nodded and didn't care much. He immediately registered the mountain Xia Ping had chosen. Then he said that these mountains were private places, and private places were sacred and inviolable. If someone maliciously broke into private houses, they would be violating the rules of the Holy Land of Taichu and would be locked up in the demon subduing tower, unable to come out for the rest of their lives. He told Xia Ping not to simply break into the residences of other sages. This was trespassing and the consequences would be severe. Xia Ping would only have himself to blame if he was beaten to death. At this point, White Willow Sage suddenly thought of something and immediately said, "Oh yes, I almost forgot. Junior brother Xia, you'll be rewarded for becoming a member of the All Sages Palace. You'll get 1 million starting points. Also, junior brother Xia won first place in the grand tournament, so you'll get 1 million points too. These points will be transferred to your account immediately." He listed out a series of rewards. Not bad. Xia Ping rubbed his chin, feeling very satisfied. In this grand tournament he had already gotten 2 million points. In addition to the points he had won in the previous bet, he probably had more than 10 million points. This was a huge sum of money, enough to make even the ancient sages jealous. He wondered how many treasures he could exchange for with so many points. Alright, I won't disturb junior brother Xia then. After saying that, White Willow Sage left. He was never sloppy and was extremely efficient. The residents of the Holy Land of Taichu? Seems like I can settle down in the Holy Land of Taichu. Xia Ping's figure flashed and immediately went to his new residence. Chapter 2265. At this moment, the news of Xia Ping becoming an immortal sage and obtaining first place in the Grand Tournament of St. Lands spread like wildfire. Many of the foreign races knew about this. The news of Xia Ping becoming an immortal sage after cultivating for only a few decades shocked many of the sages. In fact, such news could not be hidden at all. Impossible. A human reaching the immortal sage after cultivating for only a few decades? What a joke. Since when was it so easy to break through to the immortal realm? Even if humans are born with a faster cultivation speed, it's still impossible. Some of the foreign races thought that it was fake news after hearing the news. The immortal realm was a realm that countless living beings dreamed of reaching. It was an extraordinary realm. Countless living beings were stuck at the bottleneck of the immortal realm, unable to break through. However, there was actually a human who was so monstrous. Who would dare to believe such a ridiculous thing? This matter is true. There is no doubt about it. We paid a huge price to obtain this information from within the human race. A foreign race sage said in a deep voice. His expression was extremely ugly. That's right. I couldn't believe it at first too. However, after confirming it again and again, it's true. Who would have thought that there would be such a monstrous human? This is unbelievable. The human race is getting scarier. In the ancient times, the human race was still a weak race. Although there were a few stronger ones, they were still weaker than us. However, after such a long time, the human race has surpassed us. Now, we are becoming the #1 race in the universe. Many of the foreign races sighed. They were fearful of the human race. As time passed, the human race's strength continued to rise. Now, they were almost like the overlord race. Are you kidding me? Since when did the human race become #1? Don't boost the morale of others and belittle your own. A foreign race sage shouted angrily. He felt that such words were too presumptuous. That's right. It's just the appearance of a human genius. What's the big deal? You make it sound like there are no geniuses in our race. What a joke. However, you have to admit that the human race is scary. Such a genius is not the only one. There are countless of them. The previous human genius was the Dark North Sage. Look at him now. He has already reached the invincible realm. No one can suppress him anymore. That's right. Dark North Sage is indeed a terrifying human. I've chased after him several times, but not only did I fail to kill him, I even made him stronger and stronger. Now I'm no match for him at all. If we meet again, I'll have to run. Some of the sages recalled the monstrous genius of the previous era, the Dark North Sage. They had suffered many losses at the hands of the Dark North Sage, and many of their companions had even died at his hands. I heard that the human monster is the disciple of the Dark North Saint. His name is Xia Ping. A saint of a foreign race suddenly revealed Xia Ping's identity and background. What? That Dark North Saint actually has a disciple, and such a terrifying one at that. How long has it been? Previously, it wasn't enough for this fellow to bring calamity to our various races. To think that he actually taught such a disciple. Are you kidding me? Is this talent passed down from generation to generation? Hearing this news, the sages of the foreign races clenched their teeth and their faces darkened. Although they were unwilling to admit that the human race was the overlord, they had to admit that the threat posed by the human race was getting stronger and stronger. In truth, if it wasn't for the threat of the abyss demons, they would have joined forces to suppress the human race's development. How could they have waited until now? However, even with the presence of the abyssal demons, the conflict between the foreign races and the human race was still ongoing. Both sides had a blood feud, and when they met, they would definitely not show mercy. Especially when it came to assassinations of the human race geniuses, they never stopped. Every year, many of the human race geniuses would die at the hands of the foreign races. Now that such a terrifying monstrous genius had appeared in the human race, it made them feel as if there was a blade on their backs, and they felt an unprecedented threat. We cannot let the human race have another Dark North Sage, an invincible sage. Otherwise, the human race will really become the #1 race in the universe in the future, and we can only look up to them. Some of the foreign race sages were filled with killing intent as they clenched their fists. The human race had many invincible sages to begin with, and they were the pinnacle of the universe. With one more, it meant that the strength of the race would increase by a little, and their battle prowess would also tilt by a little. And the resources of their race would be greatly reduced. This was related to the future of all the major races. If the human race had another invincible sage, they might not be able to eat or sleep in peace, and they would never have a chance to rise again. That's right, a peerless genius like the Dark North Sage must not appear again. The human race is already terrifying. If another invincible sage appears, we will not be able to survive. We must kill that human Xiaoping and eradicate this huge threat. Many of the foreign race sages reached a consensus to kill the human race Xiaoping and eradicate this future threat. The problem is how to get rid of him. Now that he is hiding in the holy land of Taichu, it is too difficult to enter the human race's lair to kill him. It is almost impossible. Some of the foreign race sages said in a low voice. It doesn't matter. We can't kill him in the holy land of Taichu, but we can do it in the outside world. Let's wait and see. After all, this kid is a peerless genius, an immortal sage. If he wants to go further, he must go to the mystic area to look for opportunities. That will be our chance. Indeed. Once this kid appears in the mystic area, it will be easier to kill him. Maybe we won't have to pay a big price. But this kid is also a genius favored by the human race. I'm afraid he has countless life-saving treasures. That's nothing. It doesn't matter how many life-saving treasures he has. If we go all out and set up traps, this kid won't be able to escape. Set up an inescapable net. Once Xiaoping appears in the mystic area, immediately report his whereabouts. Then we will join forces and kill this kid. We must not give him any chance to escape. Many of the foreign race sages were full of murderous intent. Their desire to kill Xiaoping was boiling. If there was a chance, they would never let Xiaoping live. This was a life-and-death battle between races, a struggle for survival. There was no room for mercy. For a moment, the intelligence network of countless races in the entire mystic area began to move and began to closely monitor. If Xiaoping's trace appeared in the mystic area, it would immediately be known by the intelligence network of all races. It could be said that at this time, Xiaoping's name had been put on the kill list of the sages of the major races. Chapter 2266. It wasn't just the foreign races that knew about Xiaoping's ascension to the immortal sage level. Among the human race, especially the Eastern Cosmos where Xiaoping came from, this news had shocked the Eastern Cosmos sacred class sects. The birth of an immortal saint was enough to change the power structure of the Eastern Cosmos. You must be joking. Didn't Xiaoping join Jianghu not long ago? Based on my impression of him, he's just a young lad. To think that he would actually advance to the sempiternal realm. Are all youngsters so formidable these days? Many elders were dumbfounded when they heard this news. They had cultivated for over 10,000 years, and some had even cultivated for close to 50,000 years. Their lifespans were about to run out. However, they were still stuck in the lightning tribulation realm and were unable to break through. Yet, a young lad who was only in his 20s had actually managed to advance to the sempiternal realm. This was truly a huge blow to them. Comparing oneself to another was truly infuriating. Previously, it was said that Xiaoping is a peerless genius and has a chance to become a sage. However, it's just a chance. There are too many geniuses in the Eastern universe who have a chance. That is indeed the case. Who could have expected that kid to advance to the sempiternal realm in the blink of an eye? That is beyond our imagination. The Jianghu faction has really picked up a treasure this time. You've only been in the holy land of Taichu for a year, and you've already reached the immortal realm. Is the holy land of Taichu really that powerful? Could it be that there is some kind of treasure that can help him step into the saint realm? Don't be ridiculous. There are many geniuses who enter the holy land of Taichu or the palace of darkness every time, but only a few of them can reach the immortal realm. It can only be said that Xiaoping is not ordinary and cannot be compared to ordinary people. He is a rare genius. How did the Jianghu faction manage to pick up such a treasure? I can't accept this. The Heaven and Earth sect is so lucky. They probably used up all the luck of their lives. Some elders from great sects gnashed their teeth in anger, feeling endless jealousy towards Universe sect's luck. Why did Universe sect take in such a monster disciple? Why didn't such a good thing happen to them? There's something that I feel is very serious. Originally, the Jianghu sect had 3 sages. Now there's another one. Wouldn't this be bad? Wouldn't the Jianghu sect be able to ascend to the heavens? One sect with 4 sages. It's not as simple as just having 4 sages. Given how Xia Ping has already reached the sempiternal realm at such a young age, there's a good chance that he'll be able to reach the invincible realm as well. Looks like the eastern cosmos will be dominated by the Qingquan sect in the future. No one will be able to shake it in the slightest. The big shots of the Five Elements sect, the Soaring Cloud sect, the Flying Celestial sect, and the other Saint-class sects of the Eastern universe were discussing this. They were completely shocked by this sudden news. They were extremely helpless, knowing that the Heaven and Earth sects' rise couldn't be stopped, no one able to suppress it. In the past, these forces had once had many conflicts with the Qingquan faction, and it was even to the extent that there were huge conflicts of interest between them. However, after learning about this matter, all of them retreated and did not dare to fight against the Qingquan faction. Within the Qingquan sect, many elders, supreme elders, sect leader, and many elite disciples also found out about this matter. All of them were so excited that they almost fainted. They felt an unprecedented joy. Haha, I've long said that junior brother Xia's future is boundless. No one can stop his rise. His future is indeed boundless, but who would have thought that he would become a sage in just a few decades? Who would have thought that? It's indeed unexpected. Ordinary people wouldn't have thought of such a thing. Junior brother Xia is probably a genius that only appears once in a billion years. Even in the entire history of the human race, he is an extremely brilliant genius. No wonder Dark North Sage would personally come out and make an exception to accept junior brother Xia as his disciple. Looks like he really has great foresight. Many elders of the Qingquan sect sighed. Previously they had thought that Xia Ping would become an immortal sage sooner or later, but they did not expect the surprise to come so quickly. It was so fast that they couldn't even react. Now that our Qingquan sect has 4 sages, doesn't that mean that we can do whatever we want in the Eastern universe like a crab? Who would dare to disrespect our Qingquan sect in the slightest? An elder of the Qingquan sect was extremely excited. He stroked his white beard. Previously, those bastards from the Five Elements sect and the Flying Celestial sect spoke rudely to me. Now, after the news of junior brother Xia becoming a sage spread, all of them ran over to apologize. The speed at which they changed their attitude is boundless. A supreme elder was very proud of himself. Clearly, he enjoyed the flattery of the elders of the other sections. Such flattery made him feel very comfortable. He had not felt so comfortable for tens of thousands of years. Isn't that so? Previously, those bastards from the Five Elements sect wanted to fight with us over a resource planet. Now that the news of junior brother Xia becoming an immortal sage spread, they immediately gave up on this planet and even came to apologize. Previously there was a pirate alliance that was extremely arrogant. They frequently plundered the few star regions that our Qingquan sect ruled over. Now they are so scared that they fled overnight. They have been searching for traces for a period of time. The few forces of the Western universe that are bordering our Qingquan sect have also been making small movements. Now they have all stopped. They have even retreated their military camps 30,000 light-years away. Many forces from the Southern Universe, Northern Universe and Western Universe have also come to express goodwill to our Qingquan sect. They have sent many gifts over. They are simply trying to stuff our Qingquan star to the brim. The gifts we receive in a day are comparable to the income of the sect in the past 100,000 years. This is too exaggerated. This is the threat of a sage. Moreover, junior brother Xia isn't an ordinary sage. Many of the Qingquan sect elders were very proud and felt very comfortable. They felt that the Qingquan sect's matters were unprecedentedly smooth. No one dared to obstruct them. Cough cough, low profile, low profile. The Qingquan sect leader coughed and said, although junior brother Xia has already become an immortal sage and our Qingquan sect has 4 sages, the universe is too big and there are countless experts. It is best not to be too arrogant. We must remember the profound lesson from before. Be humble, and be even more humble. He expressed that although the Qingquan sect was strong now, they couldn't be arrogant. They had to win people over with virtue and treat them with humility. Don't worry, sect leader. We are very familiar with such matters. We often win people over with virtue. Sect leader, I won't hide it from you. I feel that the Qingquan sect only occupying 6 starfields is too small. Right now, we need to occupy at least 10 starfields to match our Qingquan sect's status. Sect leader, think about it carefully. A giant over 10 meters tall living in a room that is only 100 square meters. Don't you feel sullen? It's not that we want to expand. It's just that such a small place can't accommodate us. That's right. This is how things should be done. If you don't advance, you will fall behind. We have to make use of this momentum to rapidly expand and strengthen the Jianghu sect. The eyes of many Jianghu sect elders shone brightly. For a time, the map of all the major forces in the Eastern universe started to undergo a world-shaking change. Chapter 2267. Meanwhile, Nangong Wu, Qiushu, Suji, Sumei, Jiangyaru, Churong, Yuchichi, and the others had all returned to the Jianghu faction. They had also received the news that Xia Ping had advanced to the sempiternal realm. However, because of Qiushue and Sumei's relationship, they had already known about this matter. Even after knowing the news, they were not particularly surprised. Now, this bad guy's name is probably going to shake the universe. He has only cultivated for 20 to 30 years and he has already reached this level. This is indeed rare. I can't compare myself to this monster. Otherwise I'll be angered to death. That's right. We also have our own cultivation steps. We just need to take it slow. There won't be any problems. Nangong Wu and the others clenched their fists. Even though they could not compare to a peerless monster like Xia Ping, they were still geniuses themselves. After some fortuitous encounters, coupled with the large amount of spiritual medicine that Xia Ping had given them, they had all advanced to the Golden Core realm. For an ordinary person, this kind of cultivation speed was already frightening enough. Therefore they were not discouraged and continued to cultivate step by step. However, because of their special relationship with Xia Ping, their status in the Jianghu sect was greatly improved. In the Western Cosmos, in a certain Cosmos mystic realm, it was a trial ground set up by the Demon Divine Hall. Tu Linglong and Blue Wan were also at this place. They also knew the news of Xia Ping ascending to the immortal realm. Damn it! This bastard's progress is so fast. How long has it been? He has already reached the same level as a sacred beast. Even if we complete all the tasks assigned by the Sacred Beast Temple, our ultimate goal is to become a sacred beast. Tu Linglong was indignant. She couldn't accept that Xia Ping's advancement speed was so fast. There's nothing we can do about it. This human is indeed a rare genius. Qing Wan said. Sister Qing Wan, why do I feel like you've been speaking up for him recently? Did something happen between you and this bastard? Tu Linglong looked at Qing Wan suspiciously. Qing Wan's pretty face blushed. She seemed to recall what she had experienced with Xia Ping last time. That was her first time. How could she forget such a thing? However, she quickly covered up such a gaffe. You're thinking too much. I'm just speaking the truth. I don't mean anything else. Forget it, let's not care about these things. Anyway, we have to finish the task assigned by the Demon Saint Temple as soon as possible and get the Demon Saint's inheritance. We can't let this bad guy take the lead. Tu Linglong took a look and didn't find anything fishy. She clenched her fists and was full of fighting spirit. Even now, she didn't give up the idea of defeating Xia Ping, that bastard human. Eastern Universe, Blood Soul Continent. At this moment, Lu Rulan had silently returned to the continent where Blood Soul Saint was. She had also received news of Xia Ping ascending to Undying from the Universe Virtual Network. As expected of Xia Ping, he's really amazing. Looks like I have to pass the Blood Soul Saint's test as soon as possible and dig out the final secret of this continent. A cold glint flashed in Lu Rulan's eyes. Her current strength was different from the past. She had advanced to the Thunder Retribution realm. Advancing by leaps and bounds was not enough to describe the speed of her improvement. Her strength had increased by countless times. It could be said that no one in the entire Blood Soul continent was a match for her. However, the Blood Soul continent still had a large number of secret treasures left behind by the Blood Soul Saint. She had to take the risk to return to this continent again. This was related to her own growth. Once she obtained the final inheritance of the Blood Soul Saint, it would be a piece of cake for her to advance to the Sage Realm. The person who benefited the most from the news of Xia Ping's advancement to Undying was none other than Feng Hetong, who was still in the Heaven and Earth faction. As Xia Ping's #1 lackey, he was doing very well in the Heaven and Earth faction. Xia Ping was originally a disciple of a sage, so his status was rather high. It was enough for countless people to curry favor with Feng Hetong, who had a good relationship with Xia Ping. Now that Xia Ping had advanced to the Sage Realm, it caused a stir in the entire Heaven and Earth faction. Many disciples of the Heaven and Earth faction, and even many forces in the Eastern Universe, had heard of Feng Hetong's name. Could be said that Feng Hetong was doing very well now. His network covered the entire Eastern Universe. Everyone wanted to make friends with him and at the same time, get close to Xia Ping. He was also very good at socializing. He was slick and handled all relationships well. There were even many humans from planet Yanhuang who had the corpse beast's bloodline and had become the corpse beast's dependents. There were now tens of millions of them. Through Feng Hatang's connections, they were able to enter the major saint-grade sects in the Eastern Universe. Of course, if all of them entered the Heaven and Earth faction, it would naturally not be a problem. With Xia Ping's reputation, no elder would dare to refuse. However, all eggs could not be placed in one basket. If one wanted to expand the forces of humans from planet Yanhuang, they must blend into the major organizations in the universe and become one of them. If these humans from planet Yanhuang grew up completely, they would be able to occupy an extremely important position in the major organizations in the universe. In this way, a huge intelligence network and relationship network would be formed. Moreover, these humans from planet Yanhuang who were the dependents of the corpse beasts were extremely talented. As long as they devoured a large amount of materials, they could continuously improve their cultivation base. They would not encounter any bottlenecks before advancing to the sage realm. Such geniuses were elites worthy of being cultivated by the major forces. Therefore, they quickly occupied a certain degree of status in the major organizations. Feng Hatang also named this organization Ping Tian Sect. It was an extension of the previous organization in the Cloud Continent. As Xia Ping's #1 lackey, he naturally knew that as long as he could hold onto Xia Ping's thigh, he would be able to rise rapidly. If he had the chance, he might even be able to advance to the sage realm. To be honest, after coming to the universe, he also began to have the ambition of immortality. The expansion of the Eastern Universe has been completed. Next, Ping Tian Sect will continue to expand into the Northern Universe, the Southern Universe, the Western Universe, and even the Central Universe. Feng Hatang was ambitious. If the many elites of planet Yanhuang could be released into every corner of the human territory, then the people of planet Yanhuang would definitely occupy an extremely important position in the human race. This was also an important plan formulated by Xia Ping. Although this plan was only in its embryonic form, as time passed, the power that Ping Tian Sect developed and displayed was enough to make any force tremble in fear. After all, the elites of each force were still limited and geniuses were in the minority. However, the dependents of these corpse beasts were different. Apart from being unable to surpass the corpse beast Luna, they had almost no bottlenecks. They only needed to consume a large amount of resources to break through. They could definitely be regarded as the elites of the elites. Therefore, the human forces from Yanhuang Star are also expanding rapidly, silently, which will slowly bring a profound impact on the forces of the entire universe. Chapter 2268. The Holy Land of Taichu Yanhuang Peak. Xia Ping had already built this mountain peak into his own cave residence. The entire mountain peak was covered with a tyrannical restrictive array formation. Even a slight move would affect the entire mountain, making it impossible for anyone to approach it. Now he was the only one on the entire peak. There were no other servants, only some intelligent cleaning robots responsible for cleaning up the Yanhuang Peak. It was peaceful and quiet. Beep, at this moment the system's voice sounded, "Congratulations to the host. This time, you have angered a large number of disciples from the Holy Land of Taichu and the Palace of Darkness, causing a lot of hatred. This time you have received a total of 30 hatred crystals." 30 hatred crystals. Hearing this, Xia Ping was overjoyed. This time he set up this trap not only to obtain a large number of points, but also to obtain a large number of hatred crystals. Now it seemed that he had indeed obtained hatred crystals this time. Although it seemed that 30 hatred crystals were not as good as the previous times, with the 970 hatred crystals he had obtained before, he now had 1,000 hatred crystals. This had reached the threshold of the system's big gift package. Sure enough, as soon as he got 30 hatred crystals, the system's voice sounded again. "Congratulations to the host, the number of hatred crystals has reached 1,000. You can get a big gift package from the system." Boom, the next second, the void cracked, and suddenly a black and white book fell into Xia Ping's hands. Xia Ping subconsciously took the book, and immediately a huge stream of information poured into the depths of his sea of consciousness. He also immediately understood the name of this book, the Book of Karma. And this book also had another name, the Book of Life and Death. No way, this is the Book of Karma, the Book of Life and Death. Xia Ping was taken aback. Of course, he knew how terrifying the Book of Life and Death was. It was a legendary artifact that controlled the life and death of all living beings in the world. As long as a living being was recorded in the Book of Life and Death, it would control the life and death of this living being, its lifespan, and everything it had experienced. His divine sense immediately penetrated into the book, completely refining it and engraving it with his own soul imprint. Clatter, suddenly, the book was immediately controlled and refined by him, and more information flowed in the depths of his sea of consciousness. As long as there is a karma connection with the host, even if the host escapes to the ends of the universe, the karma connection will not be severed until the karma is severed, the enemy dies and the soul disperses. Ability 3, Karma Barrier. No matter how strong the enemy's strength was, it could be shielded and even reflected back. From cause to effect and from effect to cause. This ability can only be used once every 2 hours. Rumble, in the blink of an eye, Xia Ping understood a portion of the Karma Tome's abilities. He knew that this tome contained the laws of karma, an unimaginable power of laws. Every cause had an effect and every effect had a cause. Even a saint who had jumped out of the river of fate could not escape the law of cause and effect. Vaguely, he realized that countless karma lines had appeared in the depths of the void, extending in all directions. Some were long, some were short, some were thick and some were thin. They extended to every corner of the universe. These incorporeal karma lines were connected to his master, Dark North Saint, Nangong Wu Qiushu Suji Sumei Jiangyaru Churong Yuchichi Tulinglong Qinghuan Lu Rulan and others. At the same time it was also connected to Luna, Tanminglu, Little Dumbo, Chong Xiaoqian, his parents, relatives, underlings and others. There were even many people who he met by chance and people who held grudges against him. However, the karma lines of these people were very weak and could break at any time. And all of this information was recorded into the Book of Karma, turning into countless information. With a whoosh, the Book of Karma flipped to a page. Reincarnation Pen, Book of Karma, Morning Staff, Hell Spear, Hell Golden Crow Bloodline. Xia Ping narrowed his eyes. He felt that the system was slowly nurturing him to become the true Lord of Hell. These were all powerful and unfathomable powers that came from the most fundamental source of hell. System, are these treasures from hell? He asked. That's right, these are all treasures from hell, containing unimaginable power, the system answered. There is something I need to inform the host. The Reincarnation Pen and Book of Karma, these two divine weapons, are one of the components of hell's strongest treasure. 6 paths of reincarnation. What? The 6 paths of reincarnation is also a treasure? Hearing this, Xia Ping couldn't help but be stunned. Of course it is a treasure. The system answered. When the universe was first born, the 6 paths of reincarnation had yet to appear. It was also the strongest divine weapon forged by the Lord of Hell using his supreme power. Xia Ping carefully asked and found out some important information. At that time the world of hell was very chaotic. Countless gods and demons fought for hegemony, mountains stood in great numbers, vassals rose up, countless demons, asuras, gods and demons killed each other, causing blood to flow like rivers. It was similar to the current hell. At this time, an extremely powerful god and demon in hell accidentally obtained the Reincarnation Pen, Book of Karma, and other divine weapons of laws. It used its supreme power and rare materials to forge the 6 paths of reincarnation. This divine weapon was extremely powerful. It contained the power of laws, the power of the great Tao, and was indestructible. As long as the true spirits of the gods and demons under them were recorded in the Book of Karma, they would be able to reincarnate in the 6 paths of reincarnation forever. No power could kill the living beings protected by the 6 paths of reincarnation. Once they died in battle, the souls of these living beings would return to the 6 paths of reincarnation and be reborn. The result was obvious. With the 6 paths of reincarnation, the gods and demons under the Lord of Hell were able to be reborn through the 6 paths of reincarnation without any loss of power. After all, the gods under the Lord of Hell's banner could be reborn through the 6 paths of reincarnation without any loss of power. Therefore, as time passed, this army swept through the entire hell, and the god and demon under the Lord of Hell were able to be reborn through the 6 paths of reincarnation without any loss of power. Therefore, as time passed, this army swept through the entire hell, and the god and demon naturally became the Lord of Hell, the true supreme ruler. His name resounded throughout the universe. 6 paths of reincarnation? Hearing this, Xia Ping was also shocked. Indeed, as the system said, if he had the strongest divine weapon like the 6 paths of reincarnation, it would be equivalent to having an army of the undead by his side. Naturally, he would be invincible and invincible. After all, even the saints wouldn't dare to say that they were immortal, but with the protection of the 6 paths of reincarnation, they would dare to say that they couldn't be killed. Chapter 2269. But if it's true, why did the Lord of Hell die in the end? The reincarnation brush and the Book of Karma are scattered all over the place. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes, feeling that this matter was unusual. The Lord of Hell who possessed the 6 paths of reincarnation was practically invincible. Even if the human race, monster race and other peak races banded together, they would not be a match for him. But now he had actually disappeared without a trace. This was truly unbelievable. He could not imagine how such an invincible Lord of Hell could fall. That's simple. It's because an enemy destroyed the 6 paths of reincarnation, causing the infernal gods and devils to lose their immortality ability. Naturally, they were defeated, and in the end, even the Lord of Hell died in battle. The system replied. What enemy? Hearing these words, Xiaoping's heart skipped a beat and he immediately asked. He was very interested in this matter. Because there was actually an enemy who could destroy the 6 paths of reincarnation, defeat the Lord of Hell, and destroy the entire world of Hell. This was simply an earth-shattering event. Just what kind of enemy could kill the Lord of Hell and destroy the 6 paths of reincarnation? Such power had probably long surpassed that of the old ancestors of the human race and had reached an unimaginable level. Host does not have sufficient authority to answer. The system replied, indicating that it could not reveal this information. Right now, Xiaoping's strength and authority were completely insufficient. Can I really not reveal it? You can pay me with hatred crystals. Xiaoping asked, unwilling to give up. Host does not have sufficient authority to answer. However, the system still replied mechanically. It did not have any emotions and was just a program. Even if Xiaoping threatened it verbally, it would not be affected. Damn it, it's this damned authority again. Hearing these words, Xiaoping felt extremely helpless. Because he had no way to force the system to answer these questions, he could only put these matters aside for the time being. In fact, even if he knew these things now, it would not be of much use. With his current strength, even if he knew, he would not be able to do anything. Forget it, my strength is still too weak now. There's no point in knowing these things. Seems like I have to continue to become stronger. Xiaoping's eyes gleamed, and a desire to become stronger surged from the depths of his heart. He wanted to climb higher and see more wondrous scenery. It's about time for me to make a breakthrough to Sempiternal Realm Advanced Stage. He felt that it was about time for him to advance to Sempiternal Realm Advanced Stage. He had already digested most of the energy from the longevity pill and stabilized his foundation. In truth, there were no bottlenecks between Sempiternal Realm Primary Stage, Intermediate Stage, and Advanced Stage. As long as one had sufficient energy and resources, they would be able to advance their cultivation swiftly. Normal undying saints didn't have that kind of wealth, so they could only do it step by step, slowly devouring the universe energy for billions of years to reach undying peak. Or they could go through life and death situations to fight in the strife zones and obtain large amounts of treasures. Only then would they be able to break through quickly. Back then, Dark North Sage had entered the mystic zones and fought against the sages of the various races. That was how he had risen so quickly, and his strength far surpassed his peers, becoming invincible. However, Xiaoping was different. He obtained the illusion race treasury and obtained large amounts of cultivation resources. His wealth was far beyond the imagination of ordinary undying saints. It was like a pauper and a rich second-generation heir who inherited the wealth of a billionaire. They were on the same level, but their starting points were completely different. Hence, he naturally didn't need to cultivate step by step. He only needed to devour longevity pills. Right now he didn't have much, but he had too many longevity pills. He was afraid that he wouldn't be able to finish them all. While thinking of this, Xiaoping didn't hesitate. He immediately took out a large number of longevity pills from the mountain river pearl and devoured them. They were quickly converted into a large amount of magic power that flowed into every corner of his body. 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. In the end, he had swallowed a total of 100,000 longevity pills. These longevity pills were like they were free. They rapidly entered his stomach and were refined by the sun furnace in his body. The impurities were purified and only the purest origin energy of the universe was left behind. Rumble, the energy from refining 100,000 longevity pills was extremely astonishing. It was like a landslide or a tsunami. It crazily surged within Xiaoping's body and rushed into his 9 purple mansion spaces. The magic power in the depths of his body was also rising. In just a few breaths' time, it had reached its peak. This was equivalent to saving him millions of years of effort. If the undying saints saw this cultivation speed, their intestines would probably turn green from jealousy. The heavens were really unfair. After an unknown period of time, The surging magic power easily broke through a small bottleneck in his body. It was as if a door on his body had been completely opened, and all the restraints on his body were removed. Sempiternal late stage. Xiaoping's eyes shone with a shocking light. He immediately felt that he had finally broken through to sempiternal late stage. The bottleneck that had been troubling him was immediately torn apart. With his body as the center, a terrifying energy storm immediately appeared, destroying everything in its surroundings. Layers of space were penetrated and crackling sounds could be heard. It was as if even the spatial barriers were being torn apart. Fortunately, he was in Yanhuang Peak and there were restrictions everywhere, trapping all the energy tides within this area. This prevented others from noticing such a phenomenon. "I've finally broken through to sempiternal late stage." Xiaoping was extremely excited. The magic power in his body surged rapidly. Every single purple mansions expanded, and every corner of his body was filled with a vast amount of magic power. It was at least twice as powerful as before. At the same time, his divine sense had become even more terrifying. Previously, it could only cover a range of 20 light-years, but now it had expanded to 40 light-years. Even an ordinary near-ancient saint would not be able to match up to such a level of divine sense. Vaguely, Xiaoping could feel that his divine sense could easily penetrate through space and comprehend the vast power of space. It felt like the barriers of space were becoming more and more blurry to him. When he completely comprehended the law of space, he would be able to truly reach the level of a near-ancient saint. Pa-pa-pan. After reaching sempiternal late stage, the golden crow of hell cells in Xiaoping's body were also awakening at a crazy rate. Currently, he had awakened a total of 9 billion golden crow of hell cells. At this moment, the golden crow of hell bloodline in his body had become even denser. Every single golden crow of hell cell was like a sun, stored in every corner of his body. A vast power was hidden in Xiaoping's body like a dragon in hibernation. Once it erupted, the power it could display would definitely be earth-shattering. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.